Are you tired of feeling like life is out of your hands? Like no matter what you do, you keep running into the same problems over and over again? In today's special guide, we'll explore 50 powerful Stoic lessons, each one designed to help you stop making the same mistakes and start living with more peace, purpose, and strength. These ideas go all the way back to ancient Rome and Greece, but they speak directly to the pain and confusion of our modern lives. When applied daily, they can help you think more clearly, act more wisely, and suffer less from the things you cannot control. This video is not just about becoming stronger. It's about learning how to avoid the traps that ruin your focus, waste your time, and slowly eat away at your confidence. These 50 lessons are like a compass, built to guide you out of the fog and into a life with fewer regrets and more meaning. But here's the truth. Life will keep testing you. People will let you down. Emotions will try to control you. Fear, anger, and pride will whisper lies into your mind. And if you don't train your thinking, if you don't learn how to respond with reason instead of emotion, you will keep getting the same results: pain, frustration, and wasted time. This video will show you how the Stoics faced pain, loss, and chaos, and still lived with calm and purpose. You will learn how to deal with failure, envy, criticism, setbacks, and even success, without letting any of it mess with your mind. Think of these 50 lessons as armor for your soul. Quiet strength, calm power, nothing flashy, nothing loud, just solid inner peace, built one principle at a time. So, if you're ready to stop living on autopilot and start choosing the kind of person you want to become, turn off the noise, clear your thoughts, and let's begin. Number 1. Delay your judgments. Stop jumping to conclusions. Hold your mind still. Don't rush to call something good or bad. Don't be so quick to form opinions. Every day your brain is hit with things: a message, a glance, a tone of voice, an unexpected delay, a number on the screen. And before you even pause to think, you label it. This is a problem. That person's rude. My day is ruined. But is it really? Or are you just reacting? The Stoics taught us to be very careful with our first thoughts. They called them impressions. These impressions are not truth. They're just appearances. And the mistake most people make is believing the first thought they have as if it's a command. But it's not a command. It's just a signal, a moment, a wave, and waves pass. So instead of obeying your emotions, wait. When something happens, when you feel angry, afraid, offended, pause. Don't react. Don't speak. Don't judge. Just observe. Say to yourself, this is just an impression. I don't need to act on it yet. Delay your judgment. Why? Because your first thought is often wrong. Your reaction is often too fast. And the damage that comes from a quick, untested opinion is often worse than the thing itself. Epictetus said it clearly. Don't let the force of an impression carry you away. Say to it, wait for me a little while. Let me see who you are and what you represent. That's your move. You wait. You hold. You let the fog pass before you decide what something means. Think about how many times you've been wrong because you judged too fast. How many times have you sent a message in anger only to regret it later? How many times have you assumed the worst only to realize the truth was different? The problem wasn't what happened. The problem was how quickly you judged it. Delaying your judgment gives you power. It gives you space. It gives you freedom. Because you are no longer a puppet of emotion, you become a calm observer. You become someone who acts, not someone who reacts. You become the one who chooses the response instead of being dragged by the emotion. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled an empire, reminded himself of this constantly. He told himself, "Don't be upset. Don't call it a tragedy. Don't jump to conclusions." Even as emperor, he knew that the first thought is rarely the best one. He trained himself to pause, to reflect, to think clearly before deciding anything. So train yourself the same way. When someone interrupts you, delay your judgment. When someone criticizes you, delay your judgment. When a plan changes, when you hear bad news, when something feels unfair, pause. Don't trust your first reaction. Let it pass. Say to yourself, "I'm not ready to judge this yet. I will let it unfold." This habit, delaying your judgment, won't make you soft. It won't make you indecisive. It will make you strong, because only strong minds can stay still while the world pushes them to react. Most people are slaves to their impulses. But you'll be free, because you know, just because something feels bad at first doesn't mean it is. So the next time your emotions rise fast, remember, delay your judgment. The truth always comes with time, and if you can stay still long enough, you'll see it more clearly than everyone else around you. Delay, breathe, hold, decide later. That pause could save your reputation. That pause could save your peace. That pause could save your future. Delay your judgment, because reacting too fast is one of the fastest ways to mess up your life. Number 2, treat first thoughts as foreigners. The moment something happens, before you've even had a chance to think, there it is, the first thought, loud, fast, emotional, and most of the time, wrong. That first thought might say, "This is bad." It might whisper, "You're not good enough." It might scream, "They did this to you on purpose." But the Stoics would tell you, don't believe it yet. That thought hasn't earned your trust. It's a foreigner, an outsider, passing through your mind. You don't open your door to every stranger. So why open your heart to every thought? That first reaction isn't who you are. It's a wave, a leftover instinct, a combination of emotion, memory, and impulse. If you act on it immediately, you'll regret it. If you speak from it, you'll say something you can't take back. If you let it guide you, you'll lose control. So treat it like something unfamiliar. Hold it at the door. Ask it questions. Test it. Where did you come from? Are you fear? Are you pride? Are you leftover pain pretending to be truth? Epictetus told his students not to obey first impressions. He said, "Say to every harsh thought, 'Wait, let me see what you are.'" That 1-second pause, that space between thought and action, is where your power lives. Think about how many mistakes you've made because you trusted the first thought. Think about the relationships you damaged, the stress you added, the peace you lost. Not because of what happened, but because of how you interpreted what happened. Your mind raced ahead. It painted the worst picture, and you believed it. So stop. Let the thought knock. But don't open the door right away. You're in control here. You choose which thoughts get to stay. When someone criticizes you, your first thought might be to defend yourself. Pause. When someone ignores your message, your first thought might be to take it personally. Pause. When a plan falls apart, your first thought might be to panic. Pause. Most of these thoughts are just emotional static. They don't carry truth. They carry reaction. And reaction is not wisdom. The Stoics, didn't trust thoughts just because they were loud. They trusted reason. They trained themselves to look calmly at every impulse and ask, does this deserve my energy? Is this useful? What would the wiser version of me do with this? You can do the same. You don't need to fight your first thought. Just don't follow it. You don't need to suppress it. Just delay your response. You don't need to pretend it's not there. Just treat it like a stranger, polite, watchful, and cautious. Let it sit. Let it cool. Let it pass. And then, from stillness, not emotion, you choose your next move. That is Stoic strength. Treat first thoughts as foreigners, because clarity begins with distance. Number 3. Use premeditatio errorum. Most people are familiar with the Stoic practice of premeditatio malorum, the act of mentally preparing for what could go wrong in the world. But few people speak about a deeper, more uncomfortable version of that same practice, a version that doesn't just prepare for what life might throw at you, but for what you might do to yourself. This is premeditatio errorum, the premeditation of your own errors. And make no mistake, this is where most damage happens, not from the outside, but from within. It's not just what happens to you that ruins your peace. It's the way you speak too soon, the way you judge too fast, the way you avoid responsibility, the way you repeat the same habits you promised to outgrow. These aren't accidents, they're patterns, and the only way to break them is to see them before they show up. So start each day with this question: how am I likely to mess up today? Yes. Ask it directly. Not to be negative, not to beat yourself up, but to be clear, to be prepared, to be honest. That's what the Stoics valued above all: reality, no matter how uncomfortable it is. Will you procrastinate when the task gets boring? Will you snap at someone because you're tired? Will you lie, even slightly, to avoid embarrassment? Will you chase approval instead of doing what's right? You already know your weak points. You've seen them before. You've lived through their consequences. And yet, when they come back, when they repeat, you act surprised. You say, I didn't mean to. But the truth is, you didn't prepare. That's what this practice is about. Not perfection. Preparation. Marcus Aurelius didn't just prepare for bad weather or difficult people. He also trained himself to face his own thoughts, his own distractions, his own ego. He reminded himself that he, too, was capable of failing. Not because he was weak, but because he was human. And humans fall, especially when they're arrogant enough to believe they won't. So tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, before the day begins to spin, take 5 quiet minutes, sit with yourself, and speak the truth. Say, today I might feel lazy when I should take action. I might seek comfort instead of growth. I might say yes to something I should decline. I might rush into judgment. I might react emotionally. I might forget my values. Name them, all of them, one by one. And then ask yourself, how will I meet these errors when they come? Because that's what matters. Not the error, but your awareness of it. Not whether you fall, but whether you saw the fall coming and tried to brace for it. When you do this, you take away the element of surprise. You remove the blindfold. You walk into the day alert, not just to what others might do to you, but to what you might do to your own peace, your own progress, your own reputation. Premeditatio errorum is your internal defense system. It doesn't wait for damage, it prevents it. It turns your mistakes into practice rounds. It gives you a chance to be better before you fail. It's not easy. It requires humility. It requires you to admit you are still a work in progress. But so was every Stoic. So is every person who's truly growing. So don't just prepare for the world's chaos, prepare for your own. Plan for the traps your mind will set. Anticipate the urges, the shortcuts, the old habits trying to return. Write them down, sit with them, study them like an opponent, because in many ways they are. Use premeditatio errorum, because the most dangerous mistake is the one you didn't see coming from yourself. Number 4. Talk to your desires in the third person. When a desire rises inside you, pause, step back. Don't become it. Don't let it speak for you. Don't say, "I want this." Instead, say, "He wants this. She's craving that. It wants to be fed." Why? Because this small shift creates distance, and distance is power. The Stoics knew that when desire gets too close, it becomes invisible. It slips into your voice. It feels like your identity. And once it becomes part of you, it becomes harder to question. That's why they practiced separation. Not suppression, separation. They saw desire not as who they were, but as something that visits them. A force, a pressure, a whisper. So next time you feel the urge to scroll when you should be working, don't say, "I want a break." Say, "The child in me wants comfort." When you feel tempted to buy something you don't need, don't say, "I deserve this." Say, "That voice again, the one that believes pleasure equals worth." Give it a name, give it a face, but don't give it control. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "When you feel drawn to pleasure, remember, it's only an image, a trick, a flicker." He was emperor, but even he had to fight the same battle, urge against reason. What saved him? Awareness. He knew that desire becomes weaker when you stop calling it I. When you talk to your desires in the third person, something shifts. You're no longer inside the emotion. You're above it, watching it, studying it. And once you can see it, you can challenge it. You can say, "That's not strength speaking. That's escape. That's comfort. That's ego in disguise." Think about your own patterns, the moments you've chased something you later regretted. Food, attention, revenge, praise, comfort. All of them came with a voice. You need this. You can't feel okay without it. But that voice isn't wise. It's just loud. And if you always trust the loudest voice in your head, you will mess up your life again and again. So give that voice a name. Talk to it like a separate being. Say, "You again. I see you." Say, "You've tricked me before. I know your game." That's how you take your power back. Not by force, but by clarity. This isn't about being cold. It's not about rejecting all pleasure. It's about choosing which pleasures are worthy of you. It's about protecting your discipline from being hijacked by temporary emotions. And the best way to protect your discipline is to never let desire wear your name. You are not every craving you feel. You are not every impulse that flickers through your mind. You are the watcher. You are the judge. And you get to decide who speaks for you. So tomorrow, when temptation rises, and it will, don't argue with it as if it's you. Talk to it, name it, outsmart it, keep it at arm's length. Desire will always try to make its voice feel urgent. It will say, "Now, just this once, what's the harm?" But you will respond calmly, clearly, from the outside. He wants comfort. She's tired. The weaker part wants relief. But I want to remain free. Talk to your desires in the third person, because clarity begins the moment you stop mistaking your urges for your identity. Number 5. Silence internal applause. Be honest. How many times have you done something good, something disciplined, something brave, and immediately looked around in your mind for applause? You didn't say it out loud, but it was there. Look at me. I handled that well. I resisted. I stayed calm. I did the right thing. That quiet little pat on the back, that inner standing ovation, that warm feeling of superiority, and that is the beginning of your undoing. The Stoics knew that true strength is silent. It doesn't need noise. It doesn't crave reward. It doesn't perform. It acts. And then it moves on. It doesn't sit there in its own glory. It doesn't rehearse the moment over and over again in its head, polishing it like a trophy. That's ego. That's vanity. That's weakness in disguise. Epictetus warned about this. He said, "Don't congratulate yourself. Don't admire yourself. Do what must be done and be done with it." Because the moment you start applauding yourself in your mind, you've turned the act into a performance. You've made it about recognition. Even if no one else sees it, you do. And once you start needing that internal praise, it becomes a drug. You'll start acting just to earn it. You'll choose actions not because they're right, but because they feed your image of yourself. This is dangerous, because now you're no longer disciplined. You're addicted to feeling noble. You're not humble. You're just quietly proud of your humility. You've replaced the desire to impress others with the desire to impress yourself. And that's not Stoic. That's ego wrapped in silence. So what's the fix? You silence it. You do the right thing, and you walk away from it mentally. You don't look back. You don't pause to admire yourself. You don't tell yourself how strong you are, how wise you were, how much better you handled it than others would have. You simply move on. One step, then the next. You faced anger and didn't react. Good. Now focus on the next challenge. You stayed disciplined when no one was watching. Good. Don't replay it like a highlight reel. Let it fade. You helped someone without being thanked. Perfect. Let it go. That's Stoic virtue. Doing the work without needing internal credit. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, had to remind himself of this constantly. He wrote, "Don't waste time talking about what a good man is. Just be one. Don't waste time thinking about it either. Just do it. Live it. Then move forward." The moment you start clapping for yourself inside, pause. Breathe. Say, "That's not me. That's my ego looking for a reason to feel superior." Let that applause die. Let the moment be enough. Let your actions speak louder than your thoughts. Because the truth is this, real growth happens when no one knows about it, not even you. The highest form of strength is quiet. It doesn't need to be noticed. It doesn't even need to be remembered. It just is. So train your mind to stop keeping score. Don't be the hero in your own story. Be the one who acts without needing to be seen, not by others, not even by yourself. Silence internal applause. Because the moment you start cheering for yourself, you've stopped listening to what still needs to be done. Number 6. Study the opposite emotion. When you're angry, don't study anger. Study patience. When you feel afraid, don't obsess over fear. Study courage. When you're drowning in jealousy, don't analyze jealousy. Study contentment. This is how the Stoic sharpens the mind, by turning away from the poison and focusing on the antidote. Most people, when they feel a strong emotion, feed it. They read about it, think about it, talk about it, replay it. They keep digging into it, thinking that understanding it more will help them escape it. But the truth is, the more you stare at a fire, the more it burns. You don't put out flames by throwing more firewood on top. You put them out by introducing the opposite force: water, calm, space. So when emotion grabs you, when it clouds your thoughts and tightens your chest, stop feeding it. Don't sit there studying your rage. Don't analyze your panic. That's how it grows. Instead, turn your attention to its counterbalance. Study the quality you wish you had in that moment, the one you need. That's your path out. Marcus Aurelius didn't write long pages about his frustration. He didn't catalogue every fear or every insult. He wrote about patience. He reminded himself to be calm, to be gentle, to be still. Not because those virtues came naturally to him, but because they didn't. He had to train them, and training starts with where you put your attention. When you're struggling with emotion, imagine your mind like a scale. Right now, one side is heavy, full of frustration, fear, envy, resentment. If you keep focusing on that side, you keep adding weight. But if you shift your focus, if you study the opposite, you begin to rebalance, slowly, thought by thought, choice by choice. When you're angry at someone, don't just rehearse what they did. Study forgiveness. Read about restraint. Reflect on people who responded to hate with grace. When you're scared to take a step forward, don't just sit in fear. Learn about boldness. Picture someone who acts despite uncertainty. Feed that image, because the emotion you feed is the one that grows. This doesn't mean you ignore what you feel. It means you stop giving it all your energy. You acknowledge it, but then you shift your gaze. You say, yes, I feel anxious, but what does peace look like right now? You say, yes, I feel defensive, but what does humility do in this moment? That simple mental move is where Stoic strength begins. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." He understood that most emotions are built in the mind and can be unbuilt the same way, not by force, not by denial, but by feeding the opposite emotion until it grows stronger than the one that wants to control you. The next time you feel overwhelmed, don't ask, "Why am I like this?" Ask, "What is the opposite of this, and how can I practice it right now?" Don't just try to fight your anger. Study calm. Don't just sit in fear. Study courage. Don't just talk about sadness. Study joy, gratitude, and acceptance. If you want to become something different, you have to stop staring at what you're trying to escape. Turn your eyes toward what you want to become and build it. Thought by thought. Action by action. Study the opposite emotion, because freedom comes from focusing on the path forward, not the place you're stuck in. Number 7. Use reverse admiration. When you see someone winning, pause. When you see someone shining, praised, adored, celebrated, pause. Your first instinct might be admiration, maybe even envy. You might say, "They've made it. I wish I had what they have. I want their success, their freedom, their confidence." But the Stoic doesn't admire on autopilot. The Stoic asks deeper questions. So here's what you do. Reverse it. Flip admiration on its head. Don't just look at what they have. Look at what it costs. Don't admire their outcome. Examine their process. Don't get hypnotized by the spotlight. Study the shadows behind it. Yes, they're successful, but what did they sacrifice? Yes, they're wealthy, but what did they trade in return? Yes, they're admired, but are they free? When you admire without thinking, you risk chasing a life that isn't even right for you. You copy goals that don't match your values. You worship masks. You become lost in someone else's image. The Stoics knew that surface-level success often hides deep unrest. that fame often comes chained to anxiety, that wealth can carry fear, not freedom, and that praise can be a prison if you're not careful. So before you say, "I want what they have," ask, "Do I want their schedule? Do I want their obligations? Do I want their worries, their compromises, their nights awake with stress?" If the answer is no, then what exactly are you admiring? Seneca wrote, "Many admire those who are climbing the ladder, not realizing how slippery it becomes the higher you go." And Marcus Aurelius reminded himself not to admire wealth, beauty, or power unless it was earned with virtue. Admiration for the Stoic must be earned with character, not just outcomes. Use reverse admiration when you feel comparison creeping in. Use it when you feel small around others. Use it when the world tells you that more, faster, louder equals better. Look beyond the applause. Look behind the curtain. Ask, would I trade places completely? Not just the highlight reel, but the full picture, the whole life, the pressure, the silence, the regrets, the emptiness that sometimes hides behind the smile. Often you'll find the answer is no, and that no will save you. It will protect your peace. It will anchor you in your values. It will remind you that true admiration belongs to wisdom, not status, to character, not clout. So admire the person who stays kind when insulted. Admire the one who tells the truth when it's risky. Admire the man who owns little and complains even less. Admire the woman who walks away from things that don't feed her soul. This is reverse admiration. Not being dazzled by shine, but being grounded by substance. It's easy to get impressed by noise, but a Stoic learns to be impressed by silence, by patience, by restraint, by the one who could speak but doesn't, who could take but chooses to give, who could chase the world but decides instead to guard their soul. Use reverse admiration every time you feel behind, every time you think someone else is ahead of you, every time envy knocks at your door. Because when you look closely, you may realize the very thing you envy is something you're better off without. Use reverse admiration, because chasing the wrong life is the fastest way to lose your own. Number 8. Question the story, not the event. Something happens. Someone cuts you off. Someone ignores your message. You get rejected. You fail at something you thought you'd win. That's the event. It's real. It happened. But what happens next, what happens in your mind, is not the event. It's the story. And that's where most people lose themselves, because the event is just data. It's neutral. It's a signal. It carries no emotion, no judgment, no meaning, until you assign it one. And once you assign it a story, you start reacting to the story, not the event itself. That's the trap. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus taught, "It's not things that upset us, but our judgment about things." So when something disturbs you, don't ask, "Why did this happen to me?" Instead, ask, "What story am I telling myself about this?" Because that's where the real suffering hides. A friend doesn't call you back. That's the event. You tell yourself, "They're avoiding me. They don't care. I must have done something wrong." That's the story. You lose a job opportunity. That's the event. You tell yourself, "I'm a failure. I'll never succeed. This is the end." That's the story. You see? The story makes it worse. The story makes it personal. The story attaches fear, shame, anger, emotions that weren't in the event itself. The Stoics teach us to separate the two, to stop reacting to the version in our heads and to return to what actually happened. Just the facts, nothing more. When you feel a strong emotion, stop and ask yourself, what is the raw event? What is the story I'm telling about it? And is that story true or just a reaction? Most of the time, the story is based on assumptions. You think you know what someone meant. You think you know the future. You think you're a mind reader, but you're not. And if you live inside untested stories, your peace will always depend on guesswork. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That is Stoic freedom. You can't always control the event, but you can always question the story. This doesn't mean you lie to yourself. It means you stop assuming. It means you ask better questions. It means you trade panic for perspective. What else could this mean? What if I'm wrong? What's another way to look at this? What would a calmer version of me see here? That's not weakness. That's training. That's how you stop falling for your own drama. That's how you stop turning small moments into massive problems. That's how you stay clear while others get lost in noise. So the next time something triggers you, don't go deeper into the emotion. Go deeper into the narrative. Break it down. Challenge it. Step away from the version your mind rushed to create. Come back to what actually happened. Because your life isn't ruined by the events themselves. It's ruined by the stories you build around them. And here's the truth. Every time you change the story, you change your experience. You change your reaction. You change your next move. You take back control. Question the story, not the event, because your mind creates most of your suffering, and only your mind can take it away. Number 9. Be suspicious of ease. Not everything that feels good is good for you. Not everything that comes easy is worth keeping. The Stoic doesn't celebrate ease. The Stoic watches it closely, carefully, with suspicion. Because comfort can be a liar, pleasure can be a trap, and ease, if you're not paying attention, can make you soft, slow, and distracted. It feels like peace, but often it's just sedation. So when things feel too easy, stop. Don't just relax into it. Don't just assume it means you're winning. Ask, what am I not seeing? What part of me is being weakened by this? Seneca warned us, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that things are difficult. And when things are too easy, we stop daring altogether. We avoid effort. We resist growth. We fall in love with the path of least resistance. And slowly, we forget what resistance was for." Ease can be dangerous because it never shows up looking like a threat. It shows up like a warm bed, a passive scroll, a day without challenge, a reward you didn't have to earn. And if you're not careful, it becomes your standard. You expect things to be easy. And when life pushes back, as it always will, you fall apart. So don't treat ease as a reward. Treat it as a test. Ask, am I getting stronger or just more comfortable? Is this stillness or just stagnation? Is this peace or am I just numbing myself? The Stoic doesn't fear discomfort. The Stoic uses it as a sharpening stone because resistance builds clarity. Struggle builds character. Challenge exposes weakness so it can be made strong. But ease hides your flaws. It lets your discipline rust quietly. It flatters your ego while draining your edge. You sleep in longer. You let small things slide. You skip the hard conversation. You say, "I deserve this," when deep down you know you haven't earned it. That's the hidden danger of ease. It convinces you to slow down before the work is done. It tells you you're safe when you're actually falling asleep at the wheel. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, don't be overheard complaining, not even to yourself. But he also meant, don't get drunk on comfort. Don't waste strength trying to protect ease. Instead, seek the hard thing. Pick the harder path when you can. Do the uncomfortable task first. Keep your edge sharp, even when the world gives you permission to let it dull. Ease isn't the enemy, but your relationship to it can be. So enjoy rest, but earn it. Enjoy peace, but guard it. Accept comfort, but don't depend on it. When life gets easier, don't just celebrate, calibrate. Check your posture. Check your effort. Ask, am I still disciplined, or have I gone soft? Because the truth is this: a life built on ease collapses in crisis. A mind trained in comfort breaks when challenged. But a soul shaped by difficulty, that soul is unshakable. Be suspicious of ease, because what feels good in the moment may quietly be stealing who you're meant to become. Number 10. View comfort as a lure, not a prize. Most people spend their lives chasing comfort. A soft bed, a predictable routine, a steady paycheck, a place where nothing hard is required and everything feels safe. But the Stoic doesn't chase comfort. The Stoic watches it, like bait, because that's what it is. Comfort isn't the goal, it's the trap. It looks good, it feels good, but it softens you, it slows you down, and slowly it steals your edge. What starts as rest becomes routine. What starts as relief becomes dependence, and what starts as a reward becomes your reason to avoid growth. You weren't built to sit still. You weren't born for ease. And when you treat comfort like the destination, you forget the purpose of the path. That's when life starts to shrink. Not because the world got smaller, but because you did. Epictetus warned against this. He said, "It is difficulties that show what men are." Why? Because hardship reveals your strength, and comfort hides your weakness. When everything is easy, your mind gets soft, your habits fall apart. Your discipline fades into laziness dressed up as self-care. So the Stoic flips the view. Comfort isn't success, it's a signal to be alert. When things get too smooth, ask yourself, am I growing or just relaxing? Am I improving or am I escaping? Am I stronger than I was yesterday or just more comfortable? Because comfort has a way of pretending to be peace. It says, stay here, don't push today, you've earned it. But peace comes from strength, not surrender. And comfort, when chased too often, becomes a slow, gentle surrender. To weakness, to apathy, to fear of effort. Marcus Aurelius was the emperor of Rome. He had luxury, servants, access to everything. And yet, in his writings, he reminded himself constantly to avoid excess, to resist softness, to keep his body and mind trained like a soldier's. Because he knew what most people forget. The more comfort you collect, the less prepared you are for discomfort. And life, real life, is filled with discomfort. That's why the Stoic chooses voluntary discomfort. Cold showers, long walks, early mornings, silence, restraint. These aren't punishments, they're reminders. A way to stay sharp. A way to remind the body who's in charge. A way to remind the mind what it means to endure. You can enjoy comfort, you can rest, but you must never worship it. The moment comfort becomes your reason to avoid difficulty is the moment it begins to control you, and the Stoic never allows that. So change the way you see it. Don't treat comfort as the goal. Treat it as the test. Can you enjoy it without becoming addicted? Can you rest without losing your momentum? Can you use it without needing it? Because when comfort owns you, challenge destroys you. But when you train with discomfort, challenge becomes your teacher, your sharpening stone, your proof that you're alive. Every time you're tempted to avoid something hard, remind yourself, comfort is the easy road to weakness. Comfort is the enemy of progress. Comfort is a beautiful trap. View comfort as a lure, not a prize, because what feels good in the moment may be what keeps you from becoming who you're meant to be. Number 11. Assign everyone a role. People will confuse you. People will disappoint you. People will act in ways that don't make sense. And if you're not prepared for that, you will waste energy being shocked, offended, or hurt by things that were always bound to happen. The Stoic answer: assign everyone a role. That means this. Don't expect people to act outside of their nature. Don't expect wisdom from the unwise. Don't expect honesty from someone who has always lied. Don't expect reliability from someone who never shows up. Assign them their role and then accept it. This is not judgment. It's not condemnation. It's clarity. You're not putting them in a box. You're seeing them as they are, so you can stop being surprised. So you can stop being thrown off balance every time someone behaves like who they've always been. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, 'Today I will meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly.'" He didn't say it to be bitter. He said it to be ready. He was assigning roles. He knew the liar will lie, the flatterer will flatter, the arrogant will show off, the cruel will try to provoke you. That's their nature. And your job isn't to fix it, it's to respond well to it. So tomorrow, when someone lets you down, don't say, "How could they?" Say, "Of course, that's the role they play." When someone talks over you, interrupts, insults, withdraws, don't let it destroy your peace. Say, "That's their part in this scene. I don't have to join their drama." Think of life like a play. Not everyone is cast as the wise friend or the noble mentor. Some are cast as the fool. Some are the critic. Some are the distraction. Some are the storm you must walk through. You don't hate them for their role. You just don't mistake their lines for truth. You see them, you acknowledge them, and then you stay in your role, because that's the point. The more clearly you see others, the easier it becomes to remain who you are. You don't chase validation from the one who never gives it. You don't open your soul to someone who always misuses it. You don't expect depth from someone who lives on the surface. You stop assigning people the wrong roles and being crushed when they don't live up to them. Clarity is peace. When you know who you're dealing with, you protect your energy. You stop over-investing. You stop overreacting. You stop handing your peace to people who were never meant to carry it. So assign the roles and then accept them. It doesn't mean people can't change. It doesn't mean you stop believing in growth. But it means you don't live in illusion. You don't suffer because you expect lions not to roar, storms not to thunder, and broken people not to break things. You stay clear. You stay centered. You stay in character. Assign everyone a role, because peace isn't just found in solitude, but in the right expectations of others. Number 12. Practice inner emigration. There will be days when everything around you feels chaotic. People arguing, social pressure mounting, the group going one way while your gut tells you to go the other. And in those moments, when the noise outside threatens to break through your peace inside, the Stoic doesn't fight to change the world around them first. They retreat, not in weakness, but in strength. They leave the crowd without leaving the room. This is inner emigration. It means going inward when the world goes mad. It means stepping away mentally, emotionally, spiritually, even if your body must stay where it is. You could be in a meeting full of egos, at a table filled with gossip, walking through a world that doesn't share your values, and still stay untouched, still stay clean, still stay grounded, because your mind has left the place, even if your body hasn't. Inner emigration is not escape. It is not running away from responsibility. It is not detachment in the shallow sense. It is preservation of the self. It is the refusal to become what surrounds you just because you're surrounded by it. It is choosing your own atmosphere when the one outside is polluted. Seneca said, "Withdraw into yourself as far as you can." That wasn't about isolation. That was about protection. He knew that not every crowd deserves your energy, and not every conversation deserves your full presence. The Stoic knows when to be fully present and when to pull inward without anyone even noticing. You don't have to argue with fools. You don't have to correct every wrong. You don't have to explain your principles to people who won't hear them. You just have to remember who you are and choose to return to that space inside where your reason lives. That's your home. That's your fortress, and you can go there anytime. When someone's shouting, when emotions rise, when pettiness fills the air, you can step back, not physically, but mentally. You can say to yourself, "Let them play their games. I wasn't born to be part of this." And in that moment, you take your power back, not by fighting, but by not becoming what you observe. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or do or think, only what you do." That is inner emigration. Not caring doesn't mean you're cold. It means you're clear. It means you refuse to hand over your peace every time someone else forgets their own. It is one of the rarest skills, to stay in the fire and not be burned, to walk through noise and remain quiet, to disagree silently, to see clearly, to retreat inward, not out of fear, but out of discipline. Try this today. When the environment becomes messy, when gossip starts, when groupthink takes over, don't try to shout louder. Don't try to force silence. Just leave. Internally. Pull back into yourself. Breathe. Anchor to your values. Let the storm pass while you remain still. You can't always change your environment, but you can refuse to let your environment change you. That's what the Stoic does. They carry peace with them. They don't wait for silence. They create it inside themselves. Practice inner emigration, because peace isn't a place you find. It's a place you build, and you take it with you everywhere. Number 13. Take offense as a training tool. You felt it, didn't you? That sting in your chest, that sudden heat in your face. Someone said something, did something, ignored you, mocked you, looked past you, and instantly, offense. You want to react. You want to speak back. You want to prove a point. You want to protect your pride. But pause. Right here, right now. Don't waste this moment, because offense is not just a wound. It's a mirror. It's a test. It's a training tool. And if you use it wisely, it becomes one of your greatest teachers. The Stoics didn't see offense the way most people do. They didn't see it as something to avoid or hide from. They saw it as something to use, to train with, to build resilience, patience, control. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." That means you don't become the insult. You don't reflect the ignorance. You don't carry their bitterness like a virus. You stay calm, clear, controlled. And the moment you feel offended, that's the moment to practice. That's your cue. That's the signal. This is where I grow. Someone cuts you off in traffic. You can erupt or you can observe. Someone mocks your ideas. You can snap back or you can stay rooted. Someone ignores your effort. You can crumble or you can hold your own value. The feeling of offense is real. Don't deny it. Don't pretend you're above it. Just don't obey it. Don't follow it. Don't let it speak for you. Because here's the truth. What offends you controls you. What triggers you owns you. And the more things offend you, the smaller your world becomes. The thinner your skin gets, the weaker your peace becomes. But if you can take offense, feel it, recognize it, and not react to it, you become something rare, a person in control of themselves. Not controlled by others, not controlled by emotion, not controlled by ego, but clear, strong, and grounded. Train like this every day, not with dramatic events, but with small jabs, tiny slights, the passive-aggressive comment, the subtle disrespect, the little things that used to throw you off. Now, they're your gym, your dojo, your battlefield for peace. Ask yourself, why does this offend me? What part of me is reacting? What would a stronger version of me do right now? Then practice that. Even if it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Remember, people will offend you without meaning to. Others will offend you on purpose. That's not your concern. Your concern is, who do you become when it happens? You can choose to be insulted, or you can choose to be trained. You can choose to make it personal, or you can choose to see it as impersonal, a moment to strengthen your grip on yourself. The insult is theirs. The reaction is yours. Keep what belongs to you. Let the rest go. Take offense as a training tool, because every sting is a chance to prove you're not as fragile as you used to be. Number 14. Master the art of the short reply. Not every comment deserves a speech. Not every insult deserves an explanation. Not every question needs your full mind. The Stoic doesn't rush to defend, argue, impress, or over-explain. The Stoic answers with calm, with clarity, and often with as few words as possible. This is the art of the short reply. In a world where everyone is trying to be louder, longer, and more persuasive, power lives in restraint, in the ability to say little and still say enough. When you master this art, you stop leaking energy into conversations that don't matter. You stop giving your peace away to people who only want a reaction. Short replies are not cold. They are precise. They are strong. They are chosen. They are the mark of someone who is in control, not just of their mouth, but of their ego. Someone criticizes you. Noted. Someone tries to provoke you. I see. Someone throws bait, waiting for an argument. Perhaps. That's it. You stay calm. You stay still. You don't jump. You don't explain yourself to someone who isn't asking in good faith. You don't waste your breath on noise. Seneca said, "A wise man is content with few words." Why? Because the more words you use, the more you risk speaking from emotion. The more you speak, the more you reveal. Sometimes too much. The more you explain, the more you feed someone else's fire. A short reply isn't weakness. It's a signal that you are not easily moved, that you are steady, that you know your position and don't need to shout it. There is a strength in stillness, a power in pause, and there is wisdom in brevity. A wise person doesn't enter every debate. A disciplined person doesn't fight battles of the tongue, and a focused person doesn't dilute their energy with endless conversation. When someone gossips, you don't need to nod or join in. A glance, a breath, a pause, that's enough. When someone attacks your values, your character, your work, you don't owe them a paragraph. Sometimes silence is the best reply. Sometimes one sentence is louder than a speech. Even Marcus Aurelius, surrounded by senators, generals, enemies, and endless opinions, often reminded himself, "Say only what is necessary." Why? Because every word is a choice, every reply is a test, and every unnecessary comment is a door you might regret opening. Practice this daily. Before you speak, pause. Ask, does this need to be said? Does this need to be said by me? Does this need to be said right now? You'll be amazed how often the answer is no. Keep your replies simple, firm, clean. Let your actions speak where words don't. People will notice. Some will respect it. Some will be confused by it. That's fine. You're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to stay rooted in your values. You're here to protect your energy. So let others argue. Let others fill the silence. Let others chase the last word. You stay calm. You stay composed. And when you speak, make it count. Master the art of the short reply, because real power doesn't shout. It doesn't explain. It speaks little and moves wisely. Number 15. Observe before you judge character. It's easy to label people, to look once and decide, he's arrogant. She's fake. They can't be trusted. One action, one moment, one sentence taken the wrong way, and we stamp them with judgment. But the Stoic doesn't rush to label. The Stoic watches first. The Stoic observes. Because one moment is not a person, one mood is not a soul, and one mistake is not a full life. So before you judge someone's character, pause. Before you speak about who they are, watch. Before you build a story around their behavior, give it time. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you must not give up on people. You must not judge them too quickly. He led an empire filled with liars, flatterers, and manipulators, and yet he practiced patience. Why? Because quick judgment is often based on emotion, not truth. It makes us blind, not wise. The Stoic looks deeper. The Stoic sees the full pattern, not just the moment. You saw someone get angry once. That doesn't make them cruel. You heard someone brag. That doesn't make them hollow. You felt someone pull away. That doesn't mean they don't care. You don't know what they're carrying. You don't know the storm they're walking through. You don't know what they've survived. And more importantly, you don't know them well enough to carve a judgment into stone. So hold your conclusions. Observe. Give them space to reveal who they are through consistency, not one impression. Give them room to grow. Give them the grace you hope others would give you. Because how many times have you been misunderstood? How many times have you had a bad day and been judged for it? How many times have you made one poor choice and been defined by it? That pain, the pain of being reduced to a moment, is the same pain you cause when you judge someone too quickly. And worse, when you label people, you stop learning about them. You stop seeing them. You interact with your idea of them, not the real human in front of you. This doesn't mean you ignore patterns. It doesn't mean you tolerate harm. But it means you gather evidence before making conclusions. You observe before you judge. Ask yourself, do I know their story? Have I seen them in multiple settings? Have I watched how they treat others when they have nothing to gain? That's how character is revealed, not in public performances, but in quiet patterns. So next time you feel the urge to label someone quickly, pause. Let time do the heavy lifting. Let actions speak louder than moments. And even when you're sure, stay open. People evolve. People regress. People reveal things slowly. Observe before you judge character, because wisdom waits and pride rushes. Wait, watch, then decide. And even then, stay humble. You could still be wrong. Number 16. Don't expect the unwise to act wise. It sounds obvious, doesn't it? But think about how often you fall into this trap. Someone lies to you and you're shocked. Someone gossips and you're disappointed. Someone acts selfish, rude, loud, arrogant, and you're offended. But why? Did you really expect them to act any different? Did you expect wisdom from someone who hasn't earned it? The Stoics remind us again and again, you suffer more from your expectations than from reality. When someone shows you who they are, and they've shown you before, it's not wise to act surprised. It's foolish to demand reason from someone who doesn't live by reason. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, 'Today I will meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly.'" He didn't write that to be cynical. He wrote it to protect himself, to walk into the day prepared, not offended, alert, not bitter, free, not reactive. Because once you expect people to be who they are, not who you wish they were, you stop handing them control over your emotions. You stop giving them the power to disappoint you. Don't expect a storm not to be wet. Don't expect fire not to burn. Don't expect the untrained mind to make wise choices. And don't expect the undisciplined person to show restraint. This doesn't mean you judge them. It doesn't mean you hate them. It means you stay clear. It means you adjust your mindset before the moment arrives. Because if you walk into life expecting everyone to live by Stoic principles, you will constantly feel let down. You'll feel attacked, betrayed, drained. But you weren't betrayed. You were unprepared. So expect ignorance from the ignorant. Expect emotion from the emotional. Expect impulsiveness from the impulsive. That doesn't make you cold, it makes you ready. And when you're ready, you don't have to react. You don't have to fight. You don't have to fix. You simply observe, respond with calm, and move forward without carrying the weight of someone else's chaos. How many times have you suffered not because of what someone did, but because you expected more? How many times have you thought, they should know better? But what if they don't? What if they can't? What if they haven't done the work you've done? Your peace doesn't come from the behavior of others. It comes from your ability to stay steady, no matter how others behave. That's the Stoic way. You don't need the world to be wise. You just need you to be. So next time someone interrupts, lashes out, lies, brags, complains, or acts like they always do, don't get pulled in. Don't say, "How could they?" Say, "Of course." Say, "This is what I prepared for." Say, "This is nothing new." And then ask yourself, what does a wise person do when faced with unwise behavior? They don't mimic it. They don't get emotional. They don't argue. They don't try to win. They remain in control. They rise above it. They protect their energy. Don't expect the unwise to act wise, because when you do, you're not being wise either. Number 17. Mentally fire people before they fail you. Let's be honest. Most of your disappointment comes from expecting too much. You give someone a title they haven't earned. You assign them loyalty they haven't proven. You believe they'll come through, speak up, stay consistent, be there. And when they don't, you feel betrayed. But that pain, it started with your assumption. The Stoics warned about this again and again. Don't expect the untested to be dependable. Don't pretend people are more than they've shown you. That's not kindness. That's self-deception. And when reality hits, you're the one who pays for it. So what do? You mentally fire people before they fail you. This doesn't mean you walk around cold and cynical. It doesn't mean you stop loving or that you isolate yourself. It means you train your mind to expect people to be exactly who they are. Not who you hope they'll be, not who they promise to be, but who they consistently show you they are. If someone's always late, don't expect them to be early tomorrow. If someone avoids hard conversations, don't expect them to be honest when it matters most. If someone only shows up when it benefits them, don't count on them when things get hard. Mentally fire them from roles they've never held. Stop assigning people jobs they've never applied for. Stop making emotional hires. Stop promoting people in your life out of hope. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, people will be selfish, rude, ungrateful. But none of that has to stop me from doing what's right. He knew people would disappoint him, but he didn't let it destroy his peace because he already accounted for it. He prepared his expectations. You can still love people. You can still care. But don't give them your peace. Don't give them your trust on credit. Make them earn it with patterns, not potential. And when they fail you, because some will, you won't collapse. You won't break down in disbelief. You'll say, I saw this coming. I planned for this. My peace isn't built on their consistency. That's strength. That's stoic. That's emotional protection, not emotional isolation. Mentally firing someone doesn't mean cutting them off. It means releasing the fantasy of who you wanted them to be. It means no longer handing your emotional well-being to unreliable people. It means building expectations on stone, not sand. You owe it to yourself to be clear-eyed, to stop handing over loyalty out of loneliness, to stop assigning titles like best friend, ride or die, my person, to people who've never passed even the smallest test of trust. And this applies everywhere, at work, in relationships, in friendships, in family. Don't ask people to hold emotional weight they can't carry. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to them. When you mentally fire someone, you also free yourself. You stop begging for consistency. You stop chasing clarity. You stop resenting people for not being someone they never were. From that place, you become more powerful, more peaceful, more detached, not in a cold way, but in a clean way. You know who's who. You stop over-giving. You stop over-hoping. You start moving wisely. Mentally fire people before they fail you, because disappointment is often just expectation wearing blindfolds. Number 18. Speak less than you know. In a world obsessed with being heard, the Stoic trains in silence. In a culture that rewards the loudest voice, the Stoic masters restraint. Not because they lack knowledge, but because they understand its value. They know that what is truly powerful doesn't need to be broadcast. It needs to be guarded. So they speak less than they know. Not because they're hiding, not because they're unsure, but because they've learned. Speaking too much exposes you. It drains you. It opens the door to misunderstanding, to pride, to weakness. The wise person doesn't speak to show off. The wise person speaks only when it improves the moment, and even then they leave more unsaid than said. Seneca wrote, "It is a great thing to know the season for speech and the season for silence." He understood that knowledge is not just about what you say, it's about when, how, and if you say it at all. There is a kind of quiet strength in those who don't always need to give their opinion, a kind of calm intelligence in those who hold back when others rush forward with words. Why speak less than you know? Because it sharpens your presence. It forces people to listen when you finally do speak. Because your words haven't been spent on everything, they've been saved for what matters. In silence, your words build weight. And when you don't speak everything you know, you protect your power. You don't reveal your full hand. You don't give others the chance to twist your meaning. You move in clarity while others drown in noise. Look around. Most people talk too much. They speak to fill space. They speak to prove something. They speak to feel important. But the more you talk, the more likely you are to slip, to say what you didn't mean, to reveal what should have been kept, to regret what you can't take back. The Stoic doesn't need to prove anything. The Stoic doesn't chase validation. They know that silence is a tool. It keeps the mind still. It keeps the ego small. It keeps emotion in check. Think about how many times you've said too much. How many times you've explained yourself when silence would have been enough. How many times you gave someone access to your mind and they used it against you. Not because you were wrong, but because you forgot. Not every truth needs to be spoken. Not every thought needs to be shared. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." That means your discipline is inward, not outward. Your growth doesn't need to be announced. Your insights don't need a stage. Let your actions speak. Let your presence be felt in calm, not in volume. Practice this today. Hold back. Say less. Listen more. Let others talk over each other. Let them race to prove their worth. You sit still. You observe. And when you do speak, speak with intention, not ego. Say just enough to move the moment forward, no more. People will notice. Some will be uncomfortable with your silence. Others will be drawn to it. That's not your concern. Your concern is peace, precision, power through control. Speak less than you know, because wisdom isn't what you say. It's what you choose not to say. Number 19. Study the hidden cost of pleasing people. People-pleasing feels safe. It feels polite. It feels like connection. But under the surface, it's something else. It's fear wearing a smile. It's insecurity wrapped in kindness. And it's a habit that, if left unchecked, will slowly rob you of your peace, your time, and your identity. The Stoics understood this deeply. A life lived for approval is a life built on chains. Every time you say yes just to avoid tension, every time you agree to something just to be liked, every time you twist your own values to fit someone else's comfort, you are not being kind. You are being dishonest. You are betraying yourself. And that betrayal has a cost. It costs your energy, because now you carry the weight of too many commitments, most of which don't align with your goals. It costs your clarity, because your decisions start coming from a desire to be accepted, not from what's right. It costs your authenticity, because slowly you forget what your real voice sounds like. You lose touch with what you want, think, and believe. It even costs your relationships, because pleasing people builds relationships on illusion, on performance, and when you stop performing, those connections crack. They were never real to begin with. They were rented with your compliance. Seneca wrote, "If you live according to the opinion of others, you are lost." He didn't mean you should be rude, cold, or rebellious just for the sake of it. He meant you should anchor yourself in principle, not approval. Ask yourself honestly, how many times have you agreed with someone just to avoid conflict? How many times have you helped someone not because you wanted to, but because you feared what they'd think if you didn't? How many times have you laughed, nodded, stayed silent, said, "Sure," and regretted it immediately? The cost adds up, day by day, choice by choice. And suddenly, you find yourself exhausted, resentful, and disconnected from the person you were meant to be. So start studying the hidden cost of pleasing people. Write it down. Track it. Notice the tension you carry after saying yes when you meant no. Notice the mental weight of trying to be everything to everyone. Notice how fake smiles steal your energy, how approval drains your strength, how keeping others comfortable often makes you miserable. The Stoic doesn't live to please. The Stoic lives to serve truth. That might upset some people. That might make you less popular. That might shrink your circle. But what remains will be real. Speak clearly, not to offend, but to honor yourself. Say no when it's needed. Say yes when it's true. Let people be uncomfortable with your boundaries. They'll adjust or they won't. That's not your burden. You are not responsible for everyone else's peace. You are responsible for your own integrity. So the next time you feel the pull to please, to bend, to fake, to perform, pause. Ask yourself, what will this cost me? If the price is your truth, it's too expensive. Study the hidden cost of pleasing people, because what looks like kindness on the outside may be self-erasure on the inside. Number 20, give silent rebukes. You don't need to shout to show strength. You don't need to argue to make a point. You don't need to correct someone out loud for them to know you disapprove. A look, a pause, a quiet refusal. These can speak louder than any speech. This is the Stoic's way. Give silent rebukes. The world loves drama. People love reactions. They feed off confrontation. They want a fight, a comeback, a show. But the Stoic doesn't perform. The Stoic doesn't feed the fire. When something is wrong, dishonorable, or foolish, the Stoic responds with stillness. Not because they are weak, but because they are in full control. Silence, when intentional, is not absence. It is presence with weight. It is a message without noise. It is calm disapproval that doesn't need to shout to be heard. Think about it. When someone gossips and you don't join in, your silence is a rebuke. When someone makes a joke that crosses the line and you don't laugh, your expression is a message. When someone acts out of line and you step away without a word, that absence is louder than confrontation. Seneca said, "A wise man is slow to speak and quick to act, and sometimes the action is in the restraint. The rebuke is in the refusal. The correction is in the calm disconnection from behavior that doesn't align with your values." You don't need to argue with people who aren't ready to listen. You don't need to shame others into doing better. The Stoic shows what is right by living it. And when something is wrong, the Stoic rejects it not by force, but by presence, or the withdrawal of presence. You save your energy. You protect your peace. You don't turn someone else's foolishness into your own emotional spiral. People often think that silence is weakness, but silence in the right moment is sharp. It is disciplined. It makes people look inward. When you don't react, people are forced to sit with their own behavior. They're no longer distracted by your reaction. They're faced with themselves. And that's where real reflection begins. Marcus Aurelius faced criticism, betrayal, and foolishness constantly. He could have used his position to crush or humiliate others, but more often he responded with quiet. He acted with dignity, not rage. He corrected through example. He rebuked by staying firm in what he knew was right, without needing to make a scene. So the next time someone tests your patience, disrespects your space, crosses a line, don't react immediately. Don't lecture. Don't match their energy. Just stop. Step back. Hold your position. Let your silence speak for you. They'll hear it. They'll feel it. They'll think about it long after words would have faded. This is not passivity. This is precision. This is mastery of the self. This is how the Stoic disciplines others without losing discipline themselves. Train this every day. When someone acts in a way that deserves correction, ask yourself, does this need words, or will my silence carry more weight? Don't fall into the trap of trying to fix everyone. Some people aren't ready to hear you, but they're ready to notice what you withhold. Give silent rebukes, because true correction doesn't always need volume. Sometimes it just needs presence, stillness, and the strength to walk away without a sound. Number 21. Do ugly tasks beautifully. There are jobs nobody wants, chores no one volunteers for. Work that feels small, boring beneath you. Cleaning the floor, fixing the mess, finishing the report no one wants to touch. Waking up early to start again when everyone else is sleeping in. These are the ugly tasks, the parts of life people avoid, the things they rush through or complain about. But the Stoic? The Stoic doesn't avoid them. The Stoic makes them beautiful. Not because the task is special, but because how you do it reveals who you are. Marcus Aurelius said, "Do what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, not as if you're being watched, but as if it matters." And that's the key. Whether someone is watching or not, whether the task is glamorous or grimy, whether it gets praise or is totally ignored, you do it with care, with presence, with intention. Why? Because every task is a test of your character. It's easy to be excellent when the job is exciting. It's easy to give your best when eyes are on you. But greatness isn't built in those moments. Greatness is built in private, in the dull, quiet corners of life. It's how you act when no one's looking, how you sweep the floor, how you send that last email, how you fold the laundry, how you carry yourself when the task feels like nothing, because that's when it actually becomes everything. You're not doing it for the task. You're doing it for you. Doing ugly tasks beautifully trains your mind. It tells your inner self, excellence is who I am, no matter where I am. That's discipline. That's power. And it's rare. Most people rush through these tasks. They do them with bitterness, sarcasm, laziness, or entitlement. They think, this doesn't matter. But it does. Because the way you do one thing becomes the way you do most things. And soon, that habit of carelessness spreads into your work, your words, your relationships, your thoughts. But when you slow down, when you focus, when you decide that this ugly moment is still worthy of your best, you change everything. Not the task, but your relationship to it. You take control. You reclaim pride, even in the lowest moment. You build respect for yourself. The Stoic doesn't need applause. The Stoic doesn't need status. The Stoic just needs the work and the opportunity to meet it with virtue. Scrubbing a toilet? Beautiful. Carrying boxes in silence? Beautiful. Repeating the same task for the 100th time without complaining? Beautiful. Why? because you chose to bring beauty to it. Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." We could say the same for work. It is not the task that is ugly, but the mindset that refuses to rise to it. So don't just do the big things well, do the small, ignored, dirty things with precision, with patience, with presence. Let others laugh. Let others call it pointless. You'll know better. You'll know the truth. How you do the lowest thing reveals the highest part of you. Do ugly tasks beautifully, because excellence isn't about what you do, it's about how you choose to do it. Number 22. Create rules for when you're weak. When you're strong, everything feels clear. Your values make sense. Discipline is easy. You say no without hesitation. You get up early, stick to the plan, hold your tongue, and keep your mind sharp. But the truth is, you're not always strong. No one is. There are days when your willpower feels thin, when your body is tired, when your emotions are heavy, when everything inside you whispers, "Just give in." And if you wait until that moment to make a decision, you've already lost. The Stoic doesn't wait for weakness to appear before they act. The Stoic builds rules while they're strong, so they have guidance when they're not. These rules become a compass, a set of instructions for the moments when your strength leaves you. Seneca said, "When you are at your best, prepare for your worst." That is the root of this strategy. You don't make promises in the heat of the moment. You make them in clarity, and you follow them through the fog. So write them down. Decide in advance. When I feel overwhelmed, I will take a walk, not pick up my phone. When I'm exhausted, I will still wake up on time, even if I move slowly. When I want to say something cruel, I will breathe, pause, and stay silent. When I feel like quitting, I will wait 24 hours before I decide. These are not restrictions. These are lifelines. They are preloaded decisions designed to protect you from your lower self, the version of you that shows up when pressure, emotion, or temptation take over. Because here's the truth. When you're weak, you don't need more options. You need fewer. When you're tired, don't ask your emotions what to do. Ask the rule you wrote when you were calm. When you're angry, don't trust your judgment. Trust your principle. When you're discouraged, don't listen to the voice in your head. Follow the boundary you built ahead of time. Marcus Aurelius, facing stress, betrayal, and endless responsibility, reminded himself daily of how he should act, not just when things were easy, but when things were hard. If it's endurable, endure it. If not, stop complaining. That's a rule. It doesn't need to be debated. It's already decided. These rules aren't there to control you. They're there to free you, to keep you from falling apart when emotion clouds your judgment. They're reminders of who you are when you forget. You will have days when your energy is gone, when everything feels off, when your motivation disappears. That's not failure. That's life. What matters is how you act in those moments. And that's why the rules exist, so that even on your worst day, you don't fall below your minimum standard. So take some time today, while you're clear, focused, and stable, and write the rules, not for your best self, but for your worst self. Build the path in advance, then walk it when you need it most. Create rules for when you're weak, because decisions made in strength are what protect you when strength runs out. Number 23. Use the cold room test. Picture this. You walk into a room. It's cold, uncomfortable, the kind of cold that makes you tense up, makes you want to turn around and leave, makes your mind say, "Nope, I don't need this right now." That's the test. that exact moment, that physical resistance, that inner voice begging for comfort, is where you meet yourself. The Stoics didn't chase comfort. They trained in discomfort. They understood that comfort weakens you, slowly, quietly, while discomfort builds strength, clarity, and control. And they knew something simple. How you respond to the cold room is how you respond to life. The cold room could be anything. A real cold room, a cold shower, a cold conversation, a cold truth, an uncomfortable task, a situation that pushes you out of ease and into tension. And the question is, do you stay or do you flee? When you enter that cold space, don't rush to escape it. Stay. Feel the resistance. Feel the urge to run. Then breathe. And ask, who is in control here? Me or my craving for comfort? The cold room test is simple. Put yourself in minor discomfort on purpose. Not to suffer, not to punish yourself, but to train. To remind your body and your mind that you do not need things to feel perfect in order to remain calm, focused, and disciplined. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it's humanly possible, you can do it too." But how would you know what you're capable of if you only live in warmth? You don't need pain to grow, but you do need pressure. You need to be tested. You need to be uncomfortable on purpose, so that when discomfort comes without warning, you don't break. A cold shower in the morning, a difficult phone call you've been avoiding, waking up at 5 a.m. instead of 7, saying no when it's easier to say yes, sitting in silence instead of reaching for distraction. All of these are cold rooms, little moments that most people avoid because they're trained to seek comfort, not clarity. But not you, not anymore. Start using the cold room test in your life. Each day, ask, where can I meet discomfort today without flinching? Where can I sit with the cold, physically, emotionally, mentally, and remain unmoved? It doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be deliberate. One small choice, one uncomfortable decision, one cold room entered without fear. That's how you build mental muscle. That's how you become the kind of person who doesn't fold under pressure. That's how you stop being soft in the face of life's challenges. Because life will give you cold rooms you didn't choose, loss, rejection, uncertainty, change. And when that day comes, you'll either be ready or you won't. But if you've practiced, if you've stood in the cold willingly, if you've trained your nervous system to hold still while the mind says run, then you'll smile, you'll stay calm, you'll breathe, you'll act, not react. Use the cold room test, because strength isn't built in comfort. It's built in the moments where you choose to stay when everything inside you wants to leave. Number 24. Set temptations as traps to test yourself. You say you're disciplined. You say you have control. You say you can resist the pull of comfort, impulse, indulgence. But here's the truth. Most people say they're strong while carefully avoiding the things that would actually test that strength. The Stoic doesn't do that. The Stoic walks straight toward temptation, not to fall into it, but to prove that it has no power. This is the uncommon path. You set the trap on purpose, not to fail, but to train. You place the temptation in front of you, and then you leave it there, unmoved, unused, untouched. Not because you can't have it, but because you're practicing the most powerful thing of all, the ability to say no, even when yes is easy. Seneca said, "It is not the man who abstains from pleasures because he lacks them, but he who is able to enjoy them and yet abstains, who is truly great." That is real discipline, not hiding from desire, but looking it in the eye and walking past it. Place the chocolate on the counter and don't eat it. Let the phone buzz and don't pick it up. Have the excuse ready and don't use it. See the bed in the morning and rise anyway. This is how you train your will, not by running from comfort, but by coexisting with it without being owned by it. Each time you do this, you make your mind stronger. You prove that you're the one in control, not your cravings, not your urges, not your old habits pretending to be needs. Think of it like this. Most people only succeed when they make their environment perfect. No distractions, no temptations, no options. But what happens when life doesn't give you that perfect environment? What happens when temptation finds you unexpectedly? If you've never trained in its presence, you will fall. That's why the Stoic brings the test into their daily life. Not to suffer, but to sharpen. They keep the temptation close, not because they want it, but because they want to master the ability to walk away from it. Not once, not in extreme moments, but every single day. This is how you find your edge. By placing the thing you want within reach, and then watching yourself choose restraint. Not just once, but again and again, until self-control becomes muscle memory, until the craving loses its voice, until you don't flinch when the desire calls your name. Marcus Aurelius could have indulged in anything, pleasure, power, luxury, but he didn't. He reminded himself, you don't need much. Stop letting your appetites control you. He wasn't just preaching, he was training. Every day, surrounded by temptation, yet untouched by it. Try it today. Set the trap. Not to punish yourself, but to observe yourself. To see how far you've come, and how far you still have to go. You'll learn quickly where your strength holds, and where it still bends. That's good. That's how you grow. Set temptations as traps to test yourself, because a disciplined mind isn't built by avoiding weakness, but by standing in front of it, smiling and saying, not today. Number 25. Don't pray for a good life, train for a tough one. Everyone wants peace. Everyone wants success. Everyone wants ease, stability, happiness. And many spend their days asking for it, hoping, wishing, praying that life will finally get easier. But the Stoic doesn't pray for a lighter load. The Stoic trains for a stronger back. Because a good life doesn't mean a painless one. It doesn't mean perfect weather, perfect people, or perfect luck. It means the strength to endure and grow no matter what storms come. And those storms will come. Marcus Aurelius didn't ask the gods to remove hardship. He wrote, "Don't pray for things to happen as you wish, but wish for them to happen as they do, and you will go well." In other words, stop begging life to be easier. Start training yourself to be unshakable. You don't need to be protected from hardship. You need to be prepared for it. Don't pray to avoid loss. Train to endure it. Don't pray for people to always be kind. Train to keep your calm when they're not. Don't pray to never be tested. Train to pass the test, no matter how hard it gets. The world doesn't owe you comfort. It owes you nothing. And life is not built around your convenience. That may sound harsh, but it's freeing. Because once you stop expecting ease, you stop being controlled by difficulty. You stop crumbling at every obstacle. You stop saying, "Why me?" and start saying, "Watch me." Too many people think strength is a gift. It's not. It's earned. In quiet moments, in hard mornings, in pain you didn't choose, in doing the right thing when it would be easier to quit. Every challenge is training. Every setback is conditioning. Every failure is feedback. But that only works if you stop wishing for life to be soft. If you stop believing that a good day is one without resistance. If you stop hoping the world will go easy on you, and instead decide that you will be ready no matter what. The Stoics didn't see suffering as a punishment. They saw it as a forge, something that could refine the soul, sharpen the mind, strengthen the spirit, but only if you met it with the right mindset. So ask yourself each morning, not, will today be smooth, but, will I be steady no matter what today brings? Ask, what am I training for? Is it for comfort, or is it for character? When you go to the gym, you don't pray for lighter weights. You train to lift heavier ones. Do the same with your life. Train to handle rejection. Train to sit in boredom without distraction. Train to hear criticism without falling apart. Train to stay focused when chaos is swirling around you. Every time you want to complain, train instead. Every time you want to run, stay instead. Every time you want to wish it were easier, remember who you said you want to be. This is what Stoicism is at its core, not positive thinking, not pretending things are fine, not waiting for life to be kind. It's becoming someone so solid inside that no matter what happens outside, you remain grounded. Don't pray for a good life. Train for a tough one. Because life gets better not when it gets easier, but when you get stronger. Number 26. Wake up with a roll, not an alarm. Most people are startled awake by noise. A beep, a buzz, a vibration on the nightstand. Their eyes open, but their mind doesn't. They rise, but they have no reason for rising. No mission, no role, no inner fire. Just motion without meaning. This is how days are wasted before they even begin. The Stoic starts differently. The Stoic doesn't rise because of noise. They rise because of duty, because of identity, because when the day begins, they already know who they are supposed to be. Don't just wake up to sound. Wake up to purpose. Don't let the first thing that touches your brain be the phone, the weather, or the weight of responsibility. Let it be a role you chose. Let it be something that lifts your mind, not just your body. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being." That's the role. He didn't get up for comfort. He didn't get up for a to-do list. He got up because he had a responsibility to act with reason, with courage, with justice, with discipline. He had a mission to live out, and so do you. When you wake up without a role, the day controls you. The people, the emails, the distractions, they all decide your direction. But when you wake up knowing your role, you move with clarity. You don't ask, what should I do? You already know. You might be a parent, a builder, a leader, a servant, a student, a protector, a guide. Whatever your role is, claim it first thing. Before the world reaches for you, reach for yourself. Say it. I wake up as a teacher. I wake up as a builder of discipline. I wake up as a man of peace. I wake up as a woman of courage. Say it out loud if you have to. Remind your mind who it is before the world forgets for you. Don't let the alarm dictate your energy. Let your purpose light the fire. And if the alarm must be used, then tie it to meaning. Let the ring of it be your call to action. Not something you dread, but something you've trained for. Because you're not just waking up, you're stepping into character. Do this each day. The night before, set your intention. Don't just set an alarm, set a role. Know exactly who you're waking up to be. Not what task to check off, but what inner identity to embody. That's how you gain momentum before your feet even hit the floor. This is what separates the Stoic from the average person. The average person wakes up to survive the day. The Stoic wakes up to meet it, to engage it with discipline, to live it with integrity, not rushed, not confused, but grounded, focused, and already halfway there. So tomorrow, when the morning comes, don't just wake up, don't just roll out of bed, rise with purpose, rise with identity, rise with the quiet conviction that your role matters. And it begins now. Wake up with a role, not an alarm, because purpose is louder than any sound, and a mission is stronger than any snooze button. Number 27. Ration your energy, not just your time. Everyone talks about time. Block your calendar. Wake up earlier. Plan your day. Guard your schedule. That's good, but it's not enough. Because time is not your only resource. Energy is. And if you don't learn how to manage your energy, even the most perfectly planned day will fall apart. The Stoics understood this, even if they didn't use the word energy. They lived by it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He didn't say time. He said strength, focus, clarity. That's energy. Because you might have the full day free, but if your mind is drained, scattered, or irritated, you won't do anything with it. You'll waste hours doing tasks that should have taken minutes. You'll burn out chasing approval, reacting to noise, arguing over things that don't matter. So here's the rule. Stop thinking only in hours. Start thinking in energy. Ask yourself each day, where is my mind strongest? What drains me that I keep doing? Who takes my energy the most, and are they worth it? What few things today truly need my full focus? Not every task deserves your best self. Not every conversation deserves your emotional investment. Not every invitation deserves your attention. If you give everything to everything, you'll have nothing left for what actually matters. Time is measured in hours, but energy is measured in presence. You could spend 10 hours with your family and be distracted the whole time. Or you could spend 30 minutes, fully present, fully engaged, and it would mean more. You could work for 5 hours on a project in a haze of multitasking, or spend 1 hour locked in, clear and focused, and produce something powerful. The Stoics would say, don't scatter your soul. That's what energy management is. Keeping your soul gathered, intact, pointed in one direction at a time. Because when your energy is scattered, your character is scattered, your results are scattered, your life becomes noise instead of music. And remember, it's not just about conserving energy, it's about spending it well. Spend it where it matters. Spend it on building something, not just reacting to things. Spend it on becoming wiser, not just being busy. Spend it on people who refill you, not those who drain you for sport. When you feel tired, not just physically but mentally, don't ignore it. That's your system warning you. Sit still, reflect. Don't just ask, what did I spend my time on today? Ask, what cost me the most energy? That's the invisible tax most people forget to pay attention to. The Stoics weren't afraid of effort, but they were strategic about it. They knew that your peace, your strength, your focus, it's a limited supply. So guard it. Guard it more fiercely than you guard your schedule. So tomorrow, when you're making your to-do list, don't just plan your time. Plan your energy. Give your best hours to your most important task. Protect your first 30 minutes from noise. Leave margin for silence. Say no to things that feel light on the calendar but heavy on the soul. Ration your energy, not just your time, because a full day means nothing if you show up to it empty. Number 28. Learn to sit with nothing. No phone, no music, no noise, no distraction. Just you. Just silence. Just stillness. Most people can't do this. They panic without stimulation. They reach for their phone the moment boredom appears. They fill every quiet space with sound, every slow moment with motion. Why? Because they've never learned the skill, the strength of sitting with nothing. But the Stoic trains for it. The Stoic knows that the one who can sit with nothing is the one who needs nothing, and the one who needs nothing is free. Look around. People scroll not because they want to, but because they're afraid not to. They talk not to say something meaningful, but to avoid feeling alone with their own thoughts. Silence feels like a threat to the untrained mind. Stillness feels like emptiness to someone who hasn't built peace within themselves. That's why you must practice this. Sit. No input, no output, no goal, just awareness, just breath, just presence. Watch how quickly your mind starts looking for escape routes. Watch how fast it tries to fill the space, and then stay anyway. Seneca wrote, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." The same applies to your mind. If your attention is scattered across noise, content, and conversation, it's nowhere. But if you can bring it back to stillness, even for 5 minutes, you begin to build something rare, inner anchoring. This is not meditation. This is not a technique. This is a test. Can you face your own mind without distraction? Can you sit in a room alone and not reach for something? Can you be with yourself without needing to numb, entertain, or escape? That's real strength. And it's not easy. At first it will feel uncomfortable. You'll itch for stimulation. Your brain will throw noise at you. Memories, anxieties, cravings. That's normal. That's what most people run from. But the Stoic doesn't run. The Stoic remains. The Stoic observes. Because silence is not empty. It's full of everything you've been avoiding. And that's the point. The longer you sit, the clearer the noise becomes. And the more you sit, the more that noise begins to fade. When you can sit with nothing, you realize you already have everything. The thoughts settle, the breath slows, the ego fades, the mind opens. And in that space, wisdom begins to speak, not loudly, but clearly. Marcus Aurelius would retreat into himself daily, not to avoid life, but to prepare for it. He wrote, "Nowhere can a man find a more peaceful retreat than in his own soul. But you don't find that retreat by accident. You build it, and you build it in silence. So practice it today. 5 minutes. 10. Sit in a chair, on the floor, in the car before you walk into the building. No phone, no stimulation, just stillness. Let it feel awkward. Let it feel raw. That means you're doing it right. Every time you sit with nothing, you become less owned by everything, less reactive, less needy, less scattered. You become someone who doesn't require constant input to feel okay. Learn to sit with nothing, because the ability to be still is the foundation for every other kind of strength. Number 29, let your day end in audit, not escape. It's easy to reach the end of the day and just disappear into your phone, into your bed, into distraction. You tell yourself you've earned it. You worked hard. You're tired. You deserve a break. And maybe you do. But the Stoic doesn't let the day end in escape. The Stoic ends the day in audit, because the purpose of the day isn't just to get through it, it's to learn from it. And if you don't stop to look back, you will keep making the same mistakes. You will stay blind to your patterns. You will drift into habits that slowly steal your clarity. Seneca said, "When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said." That was his routine, night after night. Not to punish himself, but to grow, to track his progress, to hold himself accountable, to live with awareness. Ask yourself, did I waste time today on things that didn't matter? Did I act out of anger or ego? Did I avoid something I should have faced? Did I speak truthfully? Did I show discipline? Where did I lose control? Where did I win quietly? This is your audit. This is your mirror. The moment where the noise of the world fades and you look yourself in the eye. Most people don't do this. They check out. They scroll. They numb themselves. They escape into sleep without a single moment of reflection. And slowly, day by day, their life becomes a blur, repeating the same loops, losing direction, calling it burnout, but really, it's just a lack of deliberate review. When you audit your day, you reclaim it. You turn experience into wisdom. You turn regret into adjustments. You stop letting your mistakes follow you into tomorrow because you faced them tonight. This doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to take an hour, 5 minutes, a few quiet lines in a journal, a simple thought while brushing your teeth. Just face the truth. And do it with honesty, not shame. You're not judging yourself, you're building yourself. That's the difference. End the day with clarity, not chaos. End it with stillness, not distraction. Don't close the day in noise. Don't let sleep steal your last chance to reflect. Make it yours. Own it. And when you find something you didn't like in yourself, good. That's the moment. That's where tomorrow starts. You write it down, you plan the correction, and then you let it go. No need to carry guilt. That's not Stoic. The point is to see clearly, adjust, and move forward. This habit, ending each day with audit, will change you, quietly, powerfully. It will keep your life on track without needing constant motivation. It will sharpen your awareness. It will expose what's working and what's not. And it will build something rare, a life that is actually examined, not just endured. Let your day end in audit, not escape, because without reflection, there is no growth. And without growth, every day starts to feel the same. Number 30. Leave things unsaid. You don't have to say everything you think. You don't have to share every opinion. You don't have to correct every mistake, win every argument, or get the last word. The Stoic knows sometimes silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. We live in a world addicted to expression. Say it, post it, react to it, comment on it. Everyone is trying to be heard. But the more you speak, the more you risk. The more you explain, the more you expose. The more you argue, the more you get dragged into someone else's chaos. That's why the Stoic chooses their words like a surgeon, not a sword fighter. Carefully, precisely, and often, not at all. Seneca warned, "Speech in haste leads to regret." He knew that words have weight, and once spoken they cannot be retrieved. They live on, in minds, in memories, in consequences. So why spill them carelessly? There are things that don't need to be said, the correction that serves only your pride, the sarcastic remark you'll regret, the comeback that only feeds the fire, the confession that belongs in reflection, not in public. When in doubt, hold it, let it rest, let it breathe. Most of the time the moment passes, and with it the need to speak. Leaving things unsaid doesn't mean you're fake. It means you're focused. It means you understand that not every emotion deserves an audience. Not every thought is ready to leave your lips. Not every impulse needs expression. You will be tempted. You'll feel the pull to respond, to clarify, to explain yourself, to tell someone what they did wrong. But ask yourself, will this improve the situation or just my ego? Is this necessary or just noise? Is this kind or just clever? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." But there's another layer to that. Even if it is true, even if it is right, does it need to be said right now? There is a kind of strength in restraint, in choosing not to reveal everything you know, in letting others keep their illusion while you keep your peace, in saying less, not because you are afraid, but because you are free. Practice this daily. When someone offends you, say less. When you want to explain yourself, wait. When you feel anger rise, breathe. Let silence become your filter. Let time do the talking. Let your actions speak where your words would only stir more noise. This doesn't mean you suppress the truth. It means you steward it. You learn what deserves your voice and what doesn't. You realize that clarity often comes through quiet, not volume. And slowly, you'll find that peace lives not in what you say, but in what you choose to leave unsaid. Leave things unsaid, because self-control in speech is the first sign of mastery over the self. Number 31. Treat setbacks as final exams. You thought things were going well. You were building momentum. The plan was working. You were finally in control. Then something hit, an obstacle, a mistake, a delay, a loss, a problem you didn't see coming, and suddenly all your progress feels like it's slipping away. The old you wants to panic, to complain, to feel defeated. But the Stoic sees it differently. The Stoic doesn't call it a crisis. The Stoic calls it a test, a final exam. Because anyone can follow principles when life is smooth. Anyone can quote philosophy when they're well-rested, well-fed, and unbothered. But what happens when you're frustrated, when nothing makes sense, when you're tired, tested, and triggered? That's the exam. That's the moment you prove whether the wisdom you've studied has become part of who you are, or whether it was just decoration. Marcus Aurelius said, "What stands in the way becomes the way." He didn't just mean obstacles help us grow, he meant obstacles are the requirement for growth. The hard thing isn't a detour, it's the path. It's your moment to apply everything you say you believe in. You say you value patience? Good. Here's a delay you didn't want. You say you value self-control? Good. Here's someone provoking you. You say you value discipline? Good. Here's a wave of fatigue and no motivation. Now show us. Now be it. Setbacks are not the problem. Your interpretation of them is. Your story about what they mean is what either pushes you forward or pulls you under. Don't say, "Why is this happening to me?" Say, "This is the part of the story where I prove what I've learned." This is your training ground. This is your evaluation. This is where your development shows up or disappears. Think of how many books you've read, how many ideas you've written down, how many goals you've listed. All of it is theory until you hit a wall, and when you do, you either crumble or you rise, not because it feels good, but because this is exactly the moment you've been preparing for. So the next time life throws a setback at you, pause. Take a breath. Then say to yourself, here it is, the final exam. This is your opportunity to lead yourself through the fire with grace, to hold your standards even when no one would blame you for lowering them. Will you still act with reason? Will you still stay disciplined? Or will you abandon yourself the moment it's hard? Will you still remember your principles? Or will you trade them in for short-term comfort? The Stoics didn't get strong by reading quotes. They got strong by living through storms, by treating every challenge as the next round of training, by refusing to let setbacks define them, because they knew setbacks reveal you. They reveal your depth, your discipline, your internal structure. So when life punches you in the gut, don't fold, don't spiral. Recognize what's happening. This is the exam. This is the real test. Pass it not with words, but with choices, with composure, with clarity under pressure. Treat setbacks as final exams, because wisdom isn't proven in peace. It's proven in difficulty. And now, it's your turn to show what you've built. Number 32. Expect to be misunderstood. You can speak clearly. You can act with integrity. You can do everything right. And still, they won't get it. They'll twist your words, misread your silence, project their own fear, jealousy, or ignorance onto you. And if you're not prepared for that, it will shake you. It will make you doubt yourself. It will tempt you to explain, defend, overcorrect, and try to be understood by everyone. But the Stoic expects this. The Stoic knows being misunderstood is not a failure. It's part of the path. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire. He wrote in private, not for fame, not for praise, but to stay grounded. Do you think everyone around him understood his motives, his restraint, his discipline? No. He was judged, criticized, misread, and yet he stayed the course, because he wasn't living for approval, he was living by principle. You must do the same. When you take a different path, people won't always see the reason behind it. When you stay calm in conflict, they might call you cold. When you walk away from drama, they might call you weak. When you choose silence over reaction, they'll say you're hiding. But that doesn't make them right. It just makes them outside your understanding. You don't owe the world your full explanation. You don't have to hand over your motives for validation. You live by reason, by discipline, by inner clarity. And that is often invisible to people who don't live the same way. Seneca said, "A man who follows reason in all things will be followed by reason, not by the crowd." That's the trade. You get peace, but you lose popularity. You get clarity, but you lose agreement. And you must be ready for that, because if you need everyone to approve of you, you will never be free. If you need to be constantly understood, you'll spend your life over-explaining and under-living. You'll shape your actions around their reactions. That's not Stoic. That's slavery. The wise person acts with intention and lets perception take care of itself. You do what's right, even if they misread it. You keep your word, even if they question it. You stay silent, even if they mistake it for weakness. That's strength. Don't waste your energy trying to control how others interpret your choices. You're not here to manage their minds. You're here to master your own. So expect it. Expect to be misunderstood. Expect someone to take your kindness for softness. Expect someone to resent your success. Expect someone to question your silence. Don't fight it. Don't fear it. Just keep walking. Let your consistency speak over time. Let your results confirm what your explanations never could. Let your peace be your proof. And when the urge rises to explain yourself, to make them see, stop. Ask, is this for clarity or just for ego? Then walk on. Expect to be misunderstood, because not everyone can see the clarity you live by, and that's not your burden to fix. Number 33. Divide your soul from the day. Life moves fast, one thing after another. Noise, messages, pressure, traffic, deadlines, emotions, reactions, interruptions. You wake up and you're already in it, already inside the pull of the day. But the Stoic doesn't just go along. The Stoic divides their soul from the day. What does that mean? It means this: no matter what's happening around you, there is a part of you, untouched, stable, still. And your job is to protect it, to create distance between the chaos and your center, to move through the day without letting the day move through you. Marcus Aurelius was emperor of Rome, surrounded by noise, ambition, betrayal, politics, pressure. And yet he reminded himself constantly, you can be happy if you know what's going on in your own soul. Not what's happening in the world, not what's trending, not what other people are saying or doing, but you. Inside, the part of you that must remain your own. This is your anchor, and if you lose it, if you forget to divide your soul from the day, then every little thing will knock you off balance. A rude comment, it shakes you. A late train, you're angry. A delay in your plan, you spiral. Someone disrespects you. You lose yourself trying to prove something. Not because those things are powerful, but because you forgot your separation. You let your peace be tied to things you don't control. So how do you divide your soul from the day? You start in the morning, before the world grabs you, before the messages, before the noise. You take a few quiet minutes and remind yourself, this is who I am, this is what I value, this is how I choose to show up today, no matter what happens. Then, as the day unfolds, you stay connected to that place. You don't let your soul be dragged by circumstance. You don't let your emotions be dictated by someone else's behavior. You walk through the storm without letting it enter your mind. Yes, you feel things. Yes, you get tired, but you don't forget yourself. You don't forget the part of you that remains steady. That's Stoic. You act, you respond, you show up. But you don't absorb everything. You leave space between the world and your heart. You create mental room to breathe. That's not coldness. That's strength. That's control. That's clarity. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you don't collapse. It means you protect your peace like a flame in the wind. You keep it lit no matter what gusts try to blow it out. At the end of the day, ask yourself, did I carry myself, or was I carried by the day? Was I the driver or the passenger? Did I keep my center, or did I give it away to noise? The goal is not perfection. The goal is awareness. And with that awareness, you strengthen the part of you that nothing can touch. Divide your soul from the day, because peace isn't found in silence. It's found in your ability to stay rooted in the middle of noise. Number 34. Use micro-austerity. You don't need to suffer to build strength. You just need to practice less. Less comfort, less indulgence, less reaction, less noise. The Stoic doesn't wait for crisis to become disciplined. The Stoic creates moments of challenge, small, intentional discomforts to keep the soul sharp. This is called micro-austerity. It's not about punishing yourself. It's about preparing yourself. It's the quiet act of doing with less. Not because you have to, but because you choose to. Because you know that comfort can soften you and excess can dull you. You know that waiting until life strips things away is the wrong time to learn how to live without them. Seneca practiced this constantly. He would wear rough clothing, eat plain meals, sleep without luxury. Why? He wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, saying to yourself the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" That's what micro-austerity gives you. Perspective. The realization that you need far less than you think. That your peace isn't tied to the flavor of your food, the softness of your bed, or the brightness of your screen. You gain confidence when you see that your strength doesn't depend on comfort. Try it for one day. Go without the phone for a few hours. Take a cold shower. Skip the snack. Sit in silence instead of filling every gap with noise. Eat simply. Delay the thing you usually give into immediately. Notice what your mind does. Notice how impatient it gets. That's the very part of you this practice is meant to train. Because the person who can't go a single day without their pleasures is not free. They are owned. Owned by sugar, by screens, by comfort, by impulse. Micro-austerity is how you break that chain. Gently, daily, intentionally. It's not about living in misery. It's about keeping your power. It's about showing your mind and body, "You work for me. I don't serve you." Every time you say no to a small pleasure, every time you walk the harder road just to prove that you can, you build a kind of quiet confidence that the world cannot give and cannot take away. Marcus Aurelius could have drowned in luxury. He had everything at his fingertips. But he reminded himself daily that none of it was necessary. He said, "Ask yourself, is a little less comfort really a hardship?" He knew the truth. The man who can find peace in less cannot be shaken by loss. So start small. No sugar for a day, no music for an hour. No complaints for the morning, no hot water for one shower. These are micro acts, but they build macro strength. They remind you of your edge. They remind you that you are capable of more than your comfort allows. Use micro-austerity, because freedom doesn't come from adding more. It comes from needing less. Number 35. Never let pain speak first. Pain arrives fast. A sharp word, a loss, a failure, a change you didn't choose. And the moment it hits, your body reacts. Your thoughts speed up. Your chest tightens. Your mouth wants to move. You want to respond, to cry out, to strike back, to explain, to break down, to say something, anything that will let the pressure out. But the Stoic doesn't let pain speak first. The Stoic lets reason speak first. Why? Because pain, when it speaks without a filter, often speaks in exaggeration. It turns discomfort into disaster. It turns silence into rejection. It turns one mistake into, "I'm worthless." Pain doesn't speak truth. It speaks urgency. It wants to be loud. It wants to be heard. But it is rarely wise. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus said, "Don't let the force of an impression carry you away. Say to it, 'Wait.'" He wasn't just talking about pleasure or anger. He was talking about pain too. Because pain is just another impression. It shows up uninvited, demanding to take the lead. And if you let it speak before you've had time to think, you'll say things you can't take back. You'll make decisions from emotion, not clarity. You'll react instead of respond. So when pain arrives, pause. Let it sit there for a moment. Breathe. Let it be seen, but not spoken yet. Ask yourself, what is the story I'm telling myself about this pain? Is this the truth, or just the first wave of emotion? What would I say if I were calm? What would I choose if I were clear? This doesn't mean you ignore pain. The Stoics never said to suppress it. They said to understand it, to examine it, to question it before you act on it. Because pain has a voice, but it should never be the voice that leads. Think about how many things you've said in pain that you didn't mean. How many choices you made just to make the pain stop. How many bridges you burned. How many apologies you later whispered. Not because you were wrong to feel, but because you were too quick to let that feeling speak for you. So stop giving pain the microphone. Let it knock. Let it shout inside. But don't open the door right away. Don't obey it instantly. Sit still. Let it lose its grip. Then speak, not from the heat, but from the root, from the center, from who you are, not just how you feel. Marcus Aurelius, writing in the middle of war, illness, and betrayal, told himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Strength doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't let feelings become commands. So the next time pain shows up, and it will, don't pretend it's not there. Just don't let it be your voice. Don't let it define the moment. Don't let it write your story. Let it sit. Let it burn out. Then act. Never let pain speak first, because the first voice isn't always the wisest. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is wait before you speak. Number 36. Dissect your fears with logic, not hope. Most people deal with fear by trying to escape it. They distract themselves. They pretend it's not there. Or they hope that things will just work out. But Stoics don't run. They face their fear head-on, and they don't fight it with emotion. They fight it with logic. You don't hope your fear goes away. You pull it apart, slowly, clearly, piece by piece, until what once looked like a monster becomes something manageable, even small. Seneca wrote, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." That means fear is rarely about what is. It's about what might be. It's about the story your mind creates when you leave it unchecked. So don't hope the story changes. Challenge the story. Break it down. Ask better questions. What am I actually afraid of? What's the worst that can happen? If it happens, what can I do? Is there anything I can control right now? What part of this fear is real? And what part is just noise? This is how the Stoic uses logic like a scalpel. Fear is examined like a patient on the table. No panic, no drama, just clarity. And clarity kills fear. Not all at once, but layer by layer. Because the mind loves to exaggerate when left alone. It takes a small problem and blows it up into a full crisis. It zooms in until all you see is danger. But logic zooms back out. It brings perspective. It returns you to reason. Hope can feel good in the moment, but hope without a plan is empty. You say, "I hope this fear goes away." But the Stoic says, "Let me understand this fear so I can deal with it." Hope waits. Logic moves. Marcus Aurelius faced war, betrayal, illness, death. And still he wrote, "If something is frightening, examine it. See what it is made of. Disarm it with thought." That's the move. You don't fight fear with wishes. You fight it with facts. You reduce it to its parts, and most of the time you'll find it's hollow. What if I lose my job? Okay. What happens next? Can I find another? Can I live with less for a while? Will I die? No. Will I suffer forever? No. Then what exactly is so terrifying? You see, when you pull fear into the light, it shrinks. Maybe it doesn't disappear, but it stops running the show. Don't let fear live in the dark corners of your mind. Don't let it grow in silence. Meet it, speak to it. Write it down, dissect it, reduce it, strip away its illusions. Because until you understand your fear, it controls you. But once you understand it, you get to choose what happens next. So when fear shows up, and it will, don't wish it away. Don't hide. Don't hope. Get out the tools. Get to work. Dissect your fears with logic, not hope, because courage doesn't begin with feeling brave. It begins with thinking clearly. Number 37. Detach from victory. Winning feels good. Praise feels good. Success feels good. The moment you hit the goal, cross the finish line, receive the recognition, it rushes in. The pride, the adrenaline, the sense that this is it, that finally you've made it. But the Stoic doesn't get drunk on victory. The Stoic detaches from it. Because victory is not the goal, virtue is. And if winning takes you away from your principles, it's not a success. It's a failure in disguise. Most people live for the win, for the reward, for the applause. They treat every task like a step toward validation. But the Stoic doesn't chase outcomes. The Stoic focuses on process, on right action, on integrity. And if victory comes, good. If not, also good. Marcus Aurelius said, "Ambition means tying your well-being to what other people say or do. Sanity means tying it to your own actions." That's the distinction. When you attach your identity to winning, you've handed your peace to something fragile, something you don't fully control. Detach. Detach from the outcome. Detach from the title. Detach from the scoreboard. Not because you don't care, but because you care about what matters more. Ask yourself, would I still do this if no one saw me win? Would I still show up like this if no one gave me credit? Would I still be proud of myself if I lost, but acted with courage, honesty, and discipline? That's what Stoicism builds. People who are free from needing victory to feel fulfilled. Because here's the danger of chasing wins. When you win once, you want to win again. You fear slipping. You begin to protect the image more than the substance. You play it safe. You stop risking. You start performing. You attach yourself to your last success and let it define you. And when it fades, as all things do, you feel lost. But when you detach from victory, you're free. Free to fail with grace. Free to try things that might not work. Free to speak the truth, even when it costs you status. Free to enjoy the work instead of just craving the outcome. This doesn't mean you give up on excellence. It means you redefine it. Excellence is not about being better than others. It's about being better than you were yesterday. It's about showing up fully, acting with clarity, and letting go of what comes next. Let the athlete train without needing the gold. Let the writer write without needing a bestseller. Let the worker give their best without needing the promotion to feel proud. Because the moment you detach from victory, your power returns. You act from choice, not need. You create from freedom, not fear. You succeed without becoming a slave to success. So aim high. Push yourself. Do hard things. But remember, victory is not who you are. It's just something that sometimes happens when you live with discipline. Detach from victory, because when your worth is no longer tied to winning, no one can take it from you. Number 38. Conserve outrage like a resource. You only have so much energy, so much focus, so much emotional fuel. Every time you get angry, offended, worked up, or dragged into drama, you spend some of it. And the truth is, most people waste it. They light themselves on fire over every little thing, every bad driver, every online comment, every piece of gossip, every headline, every disagreement. The Stoic doesn't live that way. The Stoic treats outrage like a limited resource, because it is. Marcus Aurelius said, "You always own the option of having no opinion." Why? Because opinions cost energy. Because outrage, unless it is carefully chosen and directed, burns you before it changes anything. Ask yourself, how much of your life have you wasted being mad at things that didn't deserve your anger? People you don't even know? Problems you can't control? Moments that were forgotten an hour later? Every time you explode, every time you react emotionally, you hand over a piece of your peace for nothing. A Stoic knows not everything deserves your fire. Not every wrong needs your wrath. Not every slight needs to be answered. You are not a puppet pulled by emotion. You are the one holding the strings. You must protect that. You must build restraint. You must be deliberate about when you get angry, and more importantly, when you don't. Imagine your outrage as currency. You can spend it, but only so many times before you're bankrupt. So the wise person asks, is this worth it? Is this urgent? Is this aligned with my values, or just my ego? Most of the time, the answer is no. Most of the time, it's noise. Most of the time, it's bait. And if you keep biting, you will exhaust yourself on things that never mattered. You'll be drained before the real challenges even arrive. Seneca wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." Wait, step back. Don't jump into the fire. Let time reveal what really needs your response and what deserves to be left behind. This doesn't mean you're passive. It doesn't mean you tolerate injustice. It means you are strategic. You don't react to everything. You choose your battles. And when you finally do unleash your energy, it's not scattered. It's focused. It's clean. It's powerful. Conserving outrage doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. Because anyone can yell. Anyone can rage. But it takes strength to stay still. It takes wisdom to say, "This is not worth my fire." Practice this today. When something irritates you, breathe. When someone insults you, pause. When the world invites you to scream, to lash out, to defend your pride, don't. Just observe. Step around it like a stone in the road. Let others burn themselves out while you remain steady. Conserve outrage like a resource. Because once your fire is gone, you'll need it most. And if you spent it all on nothing, you'll have nothing left for what really matters. Number 39. Treat fortune like a drunken friend. Fortune is wild. One day it lifts you. The next day it drops you. Sometimes it smiles. Sometimes it slaps. It promises you security, then pulls the rug. It gives you praise, money, attention, and opportunity. And just when you begin to trust it, it turns its back and leaves you alone. That's why the Stoic never builds their life around fortune. The Stoic treats fortune like a drunken friend. You can enjoy its company, but you don't count on it. You don't hand it your keys. You don't make plans based on its promises. You don't mistake its affection for loyalty. Seneca wrote, "Fortune gives us nothing which we can really own." Why? Because anything given by fortune, status, wealth, reputation, even health, is not truly yours. It can be taken, changed, reshaped, or stolen without your permission. So you must hold it all loosely. This doesn't mean you reject good fortune. It means you remain sober in its presence. When success comes, you nod, but don't kneel. When comfort arrives, you accept it, but don't get attached. When people start applauding you, you smile. But remember how quiet it gets when they stop. Imagine a drunken friend walking into your life with gifts and compliments. Would you build your entire identity around them? Of course not. You'd say, "Thanks, but I know this isn't going to last. I know you might stumble, forget, leave without warning." That's exactly how to treat the highs of life. Because when you treat fortune like it's stable, reliable, permanent, you set yourself up for pain. You confuse luck for skill, attention for love, security for invincibility, and when the mood shifts, as it always does, you collapse. But when you treat fortune like the drunk it is, you stay steady. You enjoy the moment, but you don't cling. You say thank you, but stay ready. You smile, but keep training. You celebrate, but remain grounded. The Stoic builds their peace on what cannot be taken: character, principles, discipline, choice. These are the things fortune cannot touch. These are the things that are truly yours. Everything else, borrowed, on loan, subject to return. So when you win, don't gloat. When you're praised, don't believe the hype. When you rise, don't assume you're done falling. Keep one hand on the ground, even while the other reaches up. Marcus Aurelius, ruler of the most powerful empire on earth, constantly reminded himself, "Soon you will have forgotten everything. Soon everyone will have forgotten you." That wasn't pessimism. It was protection. It was freedom. He didn't trust fortune. He outgrew it. You should too. Live with gratitude, yes, but not dependence. Enjoy the gifts, but don't need them. Let fortune visit, but don't make it your anchor. Treat fortune like a drunken friend, because you cannot build a stable life on something that stumbles. Number 40. Choose emptiness over false fulfillment. There are two kinds of hunger: the kind that leads you towards something real, and the kind that gets filled with junk. In moments of weakness, boredom, fear, or loneliness, most people rush to fill the gap. They reach for food they don't need, distractions they don't enjoy, people who don't care about them, and praise that doesn't last. Why? Because emptiness is uncomfortable. But the Stoic knows false fulfillment is worse. Seneca warned, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." And that craving, that rush to feel full again, that's what drives people into habits that rot the mind and weaken the soul. Not because they're evil, but because they refuse to sit with emptiness. They refuse to feel the space between one moment and the next. So they fill it with noise, with sugar, with scrolling, with small talk, with temporary hits of comfort. They look full on the outside, but inside they're starved for meaning. The Stoic trains to resist that. The Stoic chooses emptiness, not because they love pain, but because they love freedom, because they know that the space we fear is the space where clarity begins. You feel bored, don't fill it. You feel restless, don't fix it. You feel a craving, don't obey it. You feel the urge to distract yourself, don't give in. Let the space exist. Let the hunger remain. Let the desire grow without being answered. That's where your strength is built, not in filling the gap, but in facing it. Marcus Aurelius, surrounded by temptation and luxury, still reminded himself, very little is needed to make a happy life. Why? Because he'd learned to prefer stillness over stimulation, truth over noise, emptiness over illusions. You don't need to reply to every text. You don't need to check the fridge again. You don't need another video, another snack, another shot of dopamine. What you need is to reclaim your hunger and aim it at something real. Because false fulfillment is the mind's version of junk food. It gives you the feeling of being fed, but it steals your strength. It numbs your awareness. It makes you forget what genuine meaning even tastes like. Emptiness is not a problem to solve. It's a signal to pay attention. It says, you're not aligned. You're drifting. You're looking outside for something that only lives inside. So let yourself feel it. Don't run. Don't patch the hole. Sit in the quiet. Let the ache remind you that you're human and that you are meant for more than shallow relief. This is the path few choose. But it's the path to something solid, something earned, something you won't have to chase again and again just to feel alive. Choose emptiness over false fulfillment, because a quiet space is the beginning of real strength, and only an empty cup can be filled with something real. Number 41. Build invisible strengths. In a world obsessed with appearance, with titles, with followers, with loud success and loud opinions, the Stoic moves differently. The Stoic doesn't chase recognition. The Stoic doesn't build their value where others can see it. The Stoic builds invisible strengths. What does that mean? It means developing the kind of character no one claps for, the kind of discipline no one notices, the kind of mental resilience that doesn't get posted, quiet patience, private integrity, daily restraint. These things don't trend, but they're the foundation of everything that lasts. Epictetus didn't care if you could speak about virtue. He wanted to know if you could live it when no one was looking. Marcus Aurelius didn't write his thoughts to impress anyone. His journals were never meant to be published. They were reminders to himself, proof that real strength doesn't need an audience. So stop building only what the world can see. Build what no one sees, what no one praises. The strength to stay calm when insulted. The strength to do the right thing with no applause. The strength to hold your boundaries without explanation. The strength to walk away from drama without leaving a mark. Ask yourself each day, what am I building inside me that no one can take away? Where am I strong in silence? Where am I consistent without recognition? You don't need to explain your growth. You don't need to broadcast your effort. You just need to keep going, quietly, solidly, like a mountain. Most people build their identity on external things: money, attention, praise, reputation. And when those things shake, so do they. But if you build your strength on values, on effort, on solitude, on clarity, you become unshakable. Invisible strength is the ability to carry weight without showing it, to hold back when anger is easy, to stand still when the crowd moves blindly, to say no without needing a reason, to wake up early, train, think, reflect, and not post about it. It's not about hiding, it's about grounding, because when the storm hits, and it will, it won't be your image that protects you. It'll be your roots, the ones you planted when no one was watching. Seneca reminded us, the reward of a thing well done is to have done it. That's it. Not the praise, not the proof, not the platform, just the act itself, just the strength itself. So be kind when no one sees. Be disciplined when no one claps. Be wise even when you're misunderstood. And keep building, not for the outside world, but for the one person you have to live with forever, yourself. Build invisible strengths, because what's silent in practice becomes unbreakable in pressure. Number 42. Practice saying no with kindness. Most people believe there are only two ways to say no. Either you give in and say yes to avoid conflict, or you say no with sharpness, cold, firm, and final. But the Stoic walks a third path. They say no with kindness, calm, clear, gentle, strong. Because saying no doesn't have to mean rejecting the person. It means respecting your limits. It means protecting your time. It means honoring your values without harming someone else's dignity. The weak person says yes to everything and slowly burns out. The proud person says no to everything and hides behind walls. The wise person, they learn the skill of soft refusal, honest, warm, and unshakable. Seneca said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." And sometimes that means saying no to plans, no to people, no to conversations, no to commitments that drain you. Not out of superiority, but out of clarity. You can say, "Thank you, but I can't." You can say, "I appreciate the offer, but I have to decline." You can say, "I'm choosing to focus my time elsewhere right now." You don't have to defend it. You don't have to explain everything. You don't have to give excuses. A clear no, spoken kindly, is more powerful than a yes said with resentment. Most people fear saying no because they fear disapproval. They don't want to seem selfish, difficult, or cold. But the real damage comes from the yes you never meant. The one that steals your time, breaks your focus, and fills your life with tasks that lead you further away from who you're trying to become. The Stoic doesn't run from boundaries, they build them with grace. When you say no with kindness, you preserve the relationship and your integrity. You respect the other person, but you don't abandon yourself. That's a hard balance, but it's a skill you can train. Start with small moments. Decline the meeting you don't need to attend. Say no to the habit that no longer serves you. Say no to the voice in your head that says, "You should just say yes, so they won't be upset." Let your no be clear. Let it be clean. Let it carry no venom. Let it carry no guilt. And trust that any relationship built on respect will understand your boundary, even if it takes time. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to do what needs to be done without fear or apology. Saying no is one of those things. You don't owe everyone your time. You don't owe everyone your energy. But you do owe them your honesty, and you owe yourself peace. So next time you're asked for something that pulls you away from your principles, your priorities, your path, pause, breathe, and say no, not with force, not with fear, but with calm conviction and kind intention. Practice saying no with kindness, because protecting your life doesn't require cruelty, only clarity. Number 43. View death as a teacher, not a threat. Most people run from the thought of death. They treat it like something distant, something to avoid, something dark and unwelcome. But the Stoic doesn't hide from death. The Stoic learns from it. Not as a morbid obsession, but as a guide, a compass, a clear voice cutting through the noise of everyday life. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." That's not fear, that's clarity, that's urgency, that's presence. Because when you see death not as a threat, but as a teacher, you begin to live differently. You stop wasting time, you stop holding grudges, you stop chasing things that don't matter, you stop pretending that someday is guaranteed. Death teaches you how fragile everything is. how quickly things can change, how little control you have over how long you're here. But it also teaches you how much control you have over how you live while you are. It teaches you to say what needs to be said now, to forgive now, to act now, to love now, to begin now. And this isn't about panic, it's about precision. You don't rush, you prioritize. You don't fear, you focus. You look at your life with sober eyes and ask, if I knew I had less time, would I still be doing this? Is this how I want to be remembered? Would I still be worried about this thing that's taking up all my energy right now? When death becomes your teacher, you become more alive. You realize most of what bothers you doesn't matter. Most of what you chase won't fulfill you. And most of what you avoid is exactly what would give your life meaning. The Stoics used death not to shrink back, but to sharpen forward. They didn't avoid the thought of their end. They welcomed it into their daily awareness, not as a shadow, but as a light, as a reminder of what's real. Because once you accept death, life becomes clearer. You stop needing everything to be perfect. You stop clinging to control. You start focusing on what you can give, not what you can collect. You start becoming someone who is ready, rather than someone who is numb. Seneca said, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing." That's the discipline, not fear of dying, but fear of never having truly lived. So every morning, whisper to yourself, "I may not get another one of these." And every night, ask yourself, if today was the last, would I be proud of how I showed up? This isn't dark. This is light. It's the most honest way to live, with nothing wasted, nothing taken for granted, and nothing left unsaid. View death as a teacher, not a threat, because the end of life is what gives every part of it meaning. Number 44. Use humiliation as an upgrade. You will be embarrassed. You will fail publicly. You will be underestimated, misjudged, called out, laughed at. People will point. They will talk. You'll say the wrong thing, forget your words, drop the ball, fall flat. It's part of life. But here's the Stoic twist. Humiliation isn't the end. It's the beginning. The average person avoids embarrassment at all costs. They shrink, they hide, they play it safe. Their pride is too fragile to risk being seen as weak or wrong. But the Stoic? The Stoic turns humiliation into fuel. They see it for what it really is, a mirror, a lesson, a sharpening stone. Seneca wrote, "What fortune has made yours is not your own." Reputation, status, image. These things are fragile, temporary, and easily shattered. So when they break, when your pride takes a hit, the Stoic doesn't fall apart. They upgrade, because in humiliation, you are being stripped of ego, of illusion, of the belief that you're untouchable. And that's not failure, it's freedom. When you have nothing to protect, you are free to grow. So what if they laughed? So what if you were rejected? So what if you said the wrong thing? Did it kill you, or did it simply expose a part of you that still needs work? That's where the Stoic lives, in that exposure, in that discomfort. They don't run from it, they use it. You made a mistake? Good. Now you see where you lacked clarity. You were embarrassed? Good. Now your ego has a dent, and that dent lets the truth get in. You were corrected in public? Good. Now you'll remember to sharpen your thinking before you speak. Every time you're humiliated, you're being invited to harden your armor, not by hiding, but by refining. You learn to laugh at yourself. You learn to stand tall in awkwardness. You learn to respond, not react. You learn to let go of needing approval. And with every one of those lessons, you level up. Marcus Aurelius didn't defend himself in every moment. He didn't chase appearances. He stayed rooted in his character, even when others questioned him. Why? Because truth doesn't need permission, and strength doesn't need applause. Use this as a rule. If it humbles you, it can upgrade you, but only if you're willing to see it that way. Don't turn humiliation into self-pity. Don't waste it by blaming others. Sit in it. Let it sting. Then ask, what part of me was exposed? What fear did this touch? What can I learn here? What will I do differently next time? This is how you build something real, not by avoiding the fall, but by standing back up, smarter, calmer, clearer than before. So the next time humiliation finds you, and it will, don't resist it. Receive it. Let it teach you. Let it challenge your pride. Let it remind you that growth doesn't always look graceful. Use humiliation as an upgrade, because what breaks your ego can build your character if you let it. Number 45. Decline what flatters you. Flattery feels good. It strokes the ego. It makes you feel seen, admired, powerful. But the Stoic doesn't fall for it. The Stoic doesn't let praise shape their identity. The Stoic declines what flatters them, because flattery is a soft poison. It doesn't come to strengthen you, it comes to weaken you, slowly. Praise that's too sweet numbs your awareness. Compliments that go unchecked start turning into dependence. You begin craving that feeling of being admired. You start performing for approval. You start shaping your choices around being liked instead of being right. The Stoics weren't against appreciation. They just didn't need it. They didn't feed on it. Marcus Aurelius warned himself, "Do not be satisfied with just being praised by others. Look inward. Be your own judge." Because he knew, when others define your worth, they can also take it away. So next time someone flatters you, pause. Feel the compliment, but don't inhale it. Don't let it cloud your thinking. Ask, why are they saying this? Do they want something from me? Am I changing how I act just because I want to hear more of this? That's the danger. You start to chase the feeling instead of the truth. And here's the hardest part. Flattery doesn't always come from others. Sometimes it comes from you. The voice in your head that says, "Look how wise I was. Look how disciplined I've become. I'm better than them." You start flattering yourself, quietly, repeatedly. And that voice feels like confidence, but it's ego. It's pride dressed up in self-respect. That's when you need to catch it. Stop it. Say, "This doesn't serve me. This doesn't improve me. This doesn't make me sharper. This just makes me feel good." And Stoicism isn't about feeling good. It's about being good. Declining flattery is a form of strength. It's refusing to build your self-worth on applause. It's keeping your foundation solid, even when everyone's trying to lift you too high. You don't need to get arrogant. You don't need to get cold. Just stay centered. Stay focused on what you're doing, not what people say about it. Let the work speak for itself. Let the discipline remain quiet. Let your value be known only to yourself. Because once you stop needing to be flattered, you become free. Free from manipulation, free from expectation, free from performance. Seneca said, "It is not the man who is praised who is better, but the man who lives well, with or without praise." That's your goal. That's the discipline. So tomorrow, if someone flatters you, nod, thank them, and forget it. Let it pass through you like wind. Don't hold on to it. Don't store it. don't build on it. Decline what flatters you, because truth makes you strong, but praise can make you soft. Number 46. Bury the need to be right. You don't need to win every argument. You don't need to prove your point. You don't need to correct every mistake or show that you knew all along. That's not strength. That's ego. And the Stoic knows when to let it die. The need to be right is a heavy burden. It keeps your mind tense, your words sharp, and your relationships strained. You interrupt, defend, over-explain, not because it's helpful, but because you can't stand the feeling of being seen as wrong. But what if you could? What if being misunderstood didn't shake you? What if being wrong didn't destroy you? That's the freedom the Stoic trains for, the freedom to let go of being right and focus on being wise. Seneca warned, "A wise man is never sure of anything except that he knows nothing." Why? Because truth is bigger than your pride, and being right means nothing if it costs you peace, if it blinds you to growth, or if it breaks connection with others. You've been in those moments. The argument where you knew you were correct, but proving it made things worse. The conversation where someone misunderstood you, and your need to clarify only made them defensive. The social media debate where you won but felt worse afterward. Ask yourself, what was gained? Winning an argument and losing your calm is not victory. Being right and needing everyone to know, it is not strength. The Stoic understands that silence can be more powerful than being correct, and that not everything that's true needs to be said, especially not immediately, and especially not to everyone. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself often, it is possible to be right and still be quiet. Why? Because he was leading an empire. He dealt with critics, fools, flatterers, and enemies daily. And if he chased every chance to prove himself, he would have wasted his energy on shadows. You have to ask yourself, what's more important, my ego or my clarity, my need to win or my need to grow? Sometimes the wisest move is to nod and let it go. Not out of weakness, but because the truth doesn't require applause. Reality doesn't need your defense. And if you're truly right, it will show over time, without force, without friction. So the next time someone challenges you, pauses you, misquotes you, disrespects your thinking, don't jump. Don't chase the correction. Let it breathe. Ask yourself, is this about the truth or just about me being right? Will arguing improve this or just feed my ego? Can I walk away from this lighter, not louder? Bury the need to be right, not because the truth doesn't matter, but because your peace matters more. Let your growth matter more. Let your inner stillness be more valuable than the noise of being correct. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You just need to be the one who doesn't get pulled into every battle of pride. Bury the need to be right, because the quiet mind sees further than the loud mouth ever could. Number 47. Don't cling to roles. You're a parent, a partner, a leader, a student, an artist, a builder, a coach, a worker, a boss, a friend, a sibling, a voice, a title, a story. Over time, you build a role, and then that role starts to feel like who you are. But the Stoic doesn't confuse identity with assignment. The Stoic does not cling to roles, because roles change. Titles fade, seasons shift. What you do is not who you are. The world may call you one thing today and something else tomorrow. If you build your self-worth on the role you play, then the day that role is taken from you, you collapse. That's not strength, that's attachment. And Stoicism teaches detachment, not from life, but from illusions. Marcus Aurelius was emperor, the most powerful man on earth, but he reminded himself again and again, you are a human being first, a soul, a mind, a citizen of nature. Not a title, not a job, not a mask, just a man, trying to live rightly, no matter the costume he was wearing that day. So ask yourself, if I couldn't be this role anymore, would I still know who I am? If the job ended, if the praise stopped, if the spotlight dimmed, would I still stand tall? Clinging to roles is dangerous. You start protecting the identity instead of the truth. You stay in positions that no longer serve you. You ignore the signs of growth because you're afraid of what you'll lose. You become loyal to the image even when the soul is asking you to move on. The Stoic sees every role as temporary, borrowed, useful but never defining. A role is something you use, not something you are. Be a great parent, but don't use that role to avoid growing on your own. Be a strong leader, but don't believe your power makes you more important than others. Be a top performer, but don't think your productivity defines your worth. Be passionate about your work, but know that when the role ends, your value doesn't. You are the one behind the role, the one showing up with virtue, patience, courage, reason. Those are the things you can never lose. That is your true self. So let the roles come and go. Let them evolve. Let them rise and fall with life. Don't panic when the world asks you to change. Don't grip a title so tightly that it becomes a cage. And when it's time to step out of a role, do it with grace. Thank it. Learn from it. Then let it go. Seneca said, "Whatever can be removed can be taken from us. Only virtue stays." That's your anchor, not the labels, not the costume, not the praise. Just who you are when all of it is stripped away. Don't cling to roles because your soul is worth more than any title it temporarily wears. Number 48. Keep a disaster dry run journal. Most people live in quiet fear of loss, failure, change, embarrassment, pain. They don't talk about it, but it's there. Running in the background, driving decisions, controlling habits, whispering worst-case scenarios into their minds. And yet, when the disaster actually comes, they're shocked. They break down because they never trained for it. They hoped it wouldn't happen instead of preparing for when it would. The Stoic does the opposite. They rehearse disaster on purpose, and not just in thought, but in writing. This is your tool, the Disaster Dry Run Journal. A place where you don't just imagine the worst, you walk yourself through it, line by line, thought by thought. You don't run from the fear, you dissect it, you plan around it, you prove to yourself that it's survivable. Seneca called this premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of bad things. He would regularly reflect on how life might go wrong, not to panic, not to suffer in advance, but to gain freedom from fear. He knew that what we fear most isn't usually the event itself, it's the surprise, the unpreparedness, the myth in our minds that says, "I couldn't handle it." So write it out, not with panic, with precision. Ask, what am I afraid of? What would actually happen if that fear came true? What would I lose? What would I still have? How would I respond on day 1, day 5, week 3? Who could I lean on? What would I rebuild first? When you do this, you drain the fear of its power. It stops being this undefined shadow in the corner of your mind. It becomes a scenario, something you've seen before, something you've already met on paper. You fear losing the job. Write the dry run. You fear the breakup. Write the dry run. You fear public failure, rejection, sickness, financial loss. Write every part of it down. Map it out, sit with it, and you'll see something. It won't kill you. It might hurt. It might shake you, but it won't own you. Not anymore. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that he would face pain, discomfort, betrayal, and death. Not because he was dark, but because he wanted to walk into life awake, not asleep in hope. And because of that, he could meet hardship with calm, not confusion. This journal is not a negative habit. It's not pessimism. It's resilience training. Quiet, internal, practical. It makes you anti-fragile. While others hope nothing goes wrong, you're preparing to remain steady when it does. And sometimes, you'll find that the thing you feared is actually small, manageable, silly. It only had power because you never looked at it fully. So keep the journal. Not every day, just regularly. Keep it simple, 1 page per fear. Walk yourself through the fire before the flame ever touches your skin. Then, when life hits, and it will, you'll be ready. You'll say, "I've seen this before. I trained for this." And instead of reacting, you'll respond. Instead of panicking, you'll move. Keep a disaster dry run journal, because fear lives in what you avoid, and courage begins with facing it first in your mind. Number 49. Seek silence after praise. You did something well. You showed discipline. You succeeded. You helped. You led. You created. People noticed. They thanked you. They complimented you. They praised your work, your words, your results. And in that moment, the praise feels warm. It feels right. But the Stoic doesn't soak in praise. The Stoic steps into silence. Why? Because praise, if you're not careful, becomes noise. And that noise feeds your ego. It builds false confidence. It makes you start performing for approval instead of living by principle. It makes you think you're done when really you're just beginning. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man in the world. People praised him constantly. But he wrote, "Receive without pride. Let it go without attachment." He reminded himself that every compliment was just an opinion, an impression, not a truth. And if he started living for applause, he would lose the very discipline that made him worthy of it in the first place. So after praise, seek silence. Don't repeat the compliment to yourself over and over again. Don't start chasing it in every action you take. Don't let your next move be guided by a desire to hear more of it. Praise is nice, but it's not food. It doesn't build your character. It doesn't make your decisions. It doesn't sharpen your soul. What builds you is quiet effort. What builds you is showing up the next day with the same humility you had when no one knew your name. Let others talk. Let them celebrate you. Let them say what they want. But you stay grounded. Stay inward. Stay committed to the work, not the recognition. Ask yourself, did I act with virtue, or did I act to be seen? Would I still have done this if no one noticed? Am I hungry for praise, or am I hungry for growth? Praise can inflate your ego faster than failure deflates your confidence, and too much praise too early makes you soft. You stop reaching. You stop reflecting. You stop asking hard questions. You start believing that what people say about you is all there is to know. The Stoic avoids that trap. After success, the Stoic retreats, not out of shame, but out of discipline, into silence, into thought, into the next task, into the next test. Seneca wrote, "When we are most admired, we must look most deeply within. That is your shield. That is your protection against self-deception, because the world will praise you for things that don't actually matter. It will reward you for performance over principle. It will cheer for your image, not your integrity. Don't fall for it. Smile at the praise. Be grateful. Then walk away from it. Let it pass like a breeze, soft, temporary, nothing to grip. Then return to your work. Return to the stillness. Return to yourself. Seek silence after praise, because the louder the applause, the more you need to hear your own thoughts." Number 50. Be stoic, not stone. Stoicism is not the absence of feeling. It's not coldness. It's not shutting down. It's not pretending you don't care. The Stoic doesn't turn to stone. They stay human, warm, present, honest. But they don't let emotions rule them. They feel deeply, but they act wisely. Too many people misunderstand the word stoic. They think it means silence, suppression, numbness. They imagine a face that never moves, a voice that never shakes, a person who walks through storms without blinking. But that's not strength, that's stiffness, and stiffness breaks. The Stoic bends. The Stoic breathes, the Stoic cries, and still chooses reason. The Stoic gets knocked down, but never abandons their principles. That's the difference. You are not here to erase emotion. You are here to master it, to direct it, to feel it, without being dragged by it. Seneca said, "We are not forbidden to grieve, but we are forbidden to be crushed by grief." That's the Stoic way. Feel the hit, but stand back up. Don't deny the loss. Just don't let it become your identity. Don't fake joy. Just remain steady when joy fades. Be human, not hollow. Being Stoic means staying calm when others panic, but it doesn't mean being disconnected. It means staying rational in a crisis, but it doesn't mean pretending everything's fine. It means thinking before reacting, but it doesn't mean feeling nothing at all. Marcus Aurelius grieved for his children. Epictetus walked with a limp from a broken leg. Seneca was exiled, betrayed, and ultimately ordered to die. These men felt pain, but they didn't let pain turn them bitter. They didn't close their hearts to the world. They stayed soft where it mattered, and sharp where it counted. And you must too, because life will test you, and when it does, people will watch how you respond. Some will expect you to explode, some will expect you to fold, but you will breathe, you will act, you will endure with compassion, not cruelty, with strength, not silence. Let others become stone, hard, cold, and heavy. Let them build walls so nothing can reach them. But know this, the wall you build to keep pain out also keeps meaning out. The Stoic doesn't build a wall, they build a foundation, a place where emotion is allowed but not worshipped, a place where love, grief, joy, and struggle can all exist, but where reason remains the guide. So when you feel pain, feel it. When someone hurts you, learn from it. When you fall, rise with more wisdom than you had before. Don't hide behind the word stoic. Live it. Let it shape you into someone the world can't easily break, but someone the world still feels safe with. Stoicism isn't armor that shuts you off. It's a compass that keeps you steady in the middle of the storm. Be stoic, not stone, because strength isn't about feeling nothing. It's about feeling fully and choosing your response anyway. You've just walked through 50 Stoic lessons, each one a weapon, a shield, a quiet truth to help you stop making the same mistakes. These weren't fluffy quotes or surface-level tips. These were tools. Tools for living with discipline in a distracted world. Tools for choosing clarity over chaos. Tools for not messing up your life. Not because life is easy, but because now you're prepared. From delaying judgment to mastering the short reply. From facing fear with logic to turning humiliation into growth. From saying no with kindness to waking up with purpose. You've now seen what the Stoics really practiced. Not coldness, but control. Not silence, but restraint. Not emotionlessness, but emotional intelligence. Now the question is, what will you do with it? So here's your challenge. Comment below with the lesson that hit you hardest, the one that made you pause, the one you're going to apply starting today, not next week, not someday, today. Write it down, not for us, but for you, because what you write, you remember, and what you remember, you live. And if this spoke to you, if something in you shifted, subscribe to the channel, because this is just the beginning. More truth, more fire, more real tools coming your way. No fluff, no noise, just clarity. Stay sharp, stay grounded, and most of all, stay stoic.